Chapter 51. Tang San went to the killing city at level 50. He had hidden weapons and martial arts, and Yu Tianming also had an indestructible body and passive blessings. How could he be weaker than Tang San? Seeing that he was unmoved, Yu Yuanzhen said earnestly, "The city of killing is full of degenerate soul masters who are full of evil, and their people's hearts are sinister. How can you protect yourself when you go in? Soul skills cannot be used in the city of killing, and so are titled Douluo. It's hard to escape from it." Yu Tianming smiled confidently, "My second soul skill has the ability to passively sense. The dragon transformation enhances the physical strength. I can also fly to avoid enemies, and I can also emit wind, fire, and thunder energy at any time. Even without the soul skill, the combat effectiveness will not drop too much." After hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen didn't know how to refute for a while, but he still looked serious and silent, obviously still disagreeing. Yu Tianming shook his head helplessly. He deactivated the dragon transformation, took out a mithril dagger bought at a large price in Zhengzhen city from the storage soul guide, and slashed it directly towards the gap of the first joint of his little finger. Although Yu Tianming's body was extremely hard, under his brute force, the dagger still completely cut off a finger along the bone seam. Yu Yuanzhen turned pale with shock, hurriedly picked up the broken finger, and said sadly, "Tianming, are you going to the killing capital even if you don't hesitate to hurt yourself?" "I just want to prove my strength and that I can definitely enter the killing city." Yu Tianming entered dragon transformation, and within a few breaths, the broken little finger grew out at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Your dragon transformation can actually improve your recovery ability so much," Yu Tianming said. "Are you willing to let me pass now?" Yu Yuanzhen thought for a long time, and finally nodded, leading Yu Tianming out of the Stardow forest. The two of them went on the road again. Yu Yuanzhen didn't know whether he was worried about Yu Tianming's safety or trying to find a way to persuade Yu Tianming to retreat. He became more and more taciturn along the way. Yu Tianming and Yu Yuanzhen headed north, walked out of the Stardow forest, flew past the Sylvis Kingdom, and arrived at the north of the Tiandu Empire. More than half a month later, the air became colder and colder, and the forests on the earth gradually turned into yellow grasslands. After arriving at a dilapidated town, Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Tianming fell from the cold altitude. This town doesn't look big, but once you step into it. However, Yu Tianming felt that the atmosphere around him was a bit strange, and everyone around him had a hint of malice. Yu Tianming knew that he had reached the entrance of the killing city. After landing, Yu Yuanzhen took Yu Tianming and walked into a tavern in the town. The air in the tavern was very turbid, and Yu Tianming noticed that all the decorations here were black. Although it was daytime outside, the doors and windows were closed, and candles were used to illuminate the dark room. When you walk in here, a cold and dark feeling hits your face. At this time, about 80% of the seats in the tavern were full. Although there were many people drinking, there were very few people talking, making the entire tavern seem very quiet. The combination of Yu Yuanzhen and Yu Tianming, one old and one young, attracted a lot of attention. But most of them just glanced at them and passed over them. Yu Yuanzhen found a seat in the corner and sat down with Yu Tianming. A waiter wearing black clothes and an indifferent expression came over. "What do you want?" Yu Yuanzhen said calmly, "Bring me a Bloody Mary." The waiter's face changed slightly, "Are you sure?" But after being swept away by Yu Yuanzhen's majestic gaze, she did not dare to say anything more and turned towards the counter. After a while, a glass of turbid liquid was brought to the table by the waiter. This glass of liquid was dark red in color and exuded a strong fishy smell, as pungent as blood. Yu Tianming frowned. He knew that this was the blood of the sinful people in the killing city. The thought of it being extracted from these guys made Yu Tianming feel sick. Seeing Yu Tianming's expression, Yu Yuanzhen pushed the cup of blood towards him instead. "If you want to enter the killing city, you must drink this dirty human blood." Yu Tianming showed disdain. "I don't drink these disgusting things, and I can still enter the killing city." The conversation between the two broke the calm in the tavern and attracted the attention of all the guests. Everyone burst into laughter. "You can't bear a glass of Bloody Mary, but you still want to be qualified to enter. Where did this chick come from? Go home. This is not the place you should be. How dare an old man and a child speak arrogant words here?" All kinds of dirty sounds filled the tavern. The drinkers seemed to have found a point of catharsis in their depression, and began to ridicule without reservation. Yu Yuanzhen raised his hand and pointed at those who were laughing at them. if you want to enter the killing city and have to face scum that is 10 times more disgusting than these people every day, what will you do? Taking a deep breath, Yu Tianming suppressed his nausea, stood up slowly, and said, Grandpa, let's go out and talk. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen looked at Yu Tianming in surprise. He didn't remember Yu Tianming being so tolerant. But he didn't say much, but stood up and walked out of the tavern. Upon seeing this, the jeers of the drinkers stopped abruptly, and everyone's eyes became strange. Then more intense jeers broke out, and all kinds of more disgusting words filled the tavern. Yu Tianming ignored it and walked out of the tavern silently. He stood in the sunshine not far from the tavern and whispered to Yu Yuanzhen, everyone here is an absolute scum, and no one is innocent. They all have a way to die. Yu Yuanzhen nodded upon seeing this and said, being kind to the enemy means being cruel to yourself. If you want to enter the city of killing, you must have the consciousness to swing the butcher knife at everyone. Why are you so soft-hearted when you reach the gate of the city of killing? Yu Tianming slowly raised his arm, stretched out an index finger, and said with a smile, how can I be soft on them? Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black. 5 terrifying spirit rings appeared at his feet when he was 11 years old. When the last black soul ring suddenly shined, a flash of light emerged from his fingertips. Then a golden red fireball quickly expanded on his fingertips, and within a few breaths, a golden red light ball with a diameter of 100 feet appeared above Yu Tianming's head. Electricity flashed on it and flames leaped. Looking from the town, this ball of light is more dazzling and hotter than the sun. A dazzling light penetrated the wooden wall panels of the tavern. A drunkard opened the window next to him and looked out the window with his head shaking, let me see what's going on. When he poked his head out, Yu Tianming smiled and said, the 5th soul skill, the Shining Sunday. Chapter 52. Yu Tianming's fingertips moved slightly, and the bright sun quickly fell towards the tavern. At this moment, everyone in the tavern had also reacted, and they were rushing to get out of the tavern. The soul master among them summoned his martial soul and quickly released his soul power. Several ordinary people without soul power also drew their weapons. Everyone's eyes turned red and they rushed towards the door and windows like crazy. But when the sun hit the tavern, it exploded with great gravity, and strong winds continued to sweep through it, making it difficult for these people to move. Yu Tianming had already sensed clearly that among the more than 50 guests and 3 waiters in the tavern, the most powerful soul master among them was just a soul king. The 7th soul ring of an ordinary soul saint is only 30,000 to 50,000 years old, while Yu Tianming's 5th soul ring is a full 30,000 years old. How can these people resist this gravity? Yu Tianming did not detonate the great sun, but let it gradually sink, slowly swallowing up the small tavern. The golden red fire reflected in Yu Tianming's eyes, and he said calmly, let this raging fire burn away their sins. As the skill gradually extinguished, only a hemispherical pit remained on the former site of the tavern, and everything was turned into ashes. No soul master can successfully escape. Yu Yuanzhen looked at the scorched earth and the calm Yu Tianming, and couldn't help but think of the time when Yu Tianming hunted the soul beast for the first time. He was equally calm at that time. Nodding, Yu Yuanzhen said lightly, it seems that I still underestimated your determination. Remember, the only person you can rely on when entering the killing city is yourself. I will not be by your side, let alone protect you. There are no friends or partners, only enemies. Kill everyone who can pose a threat to you, and after passing the test of the hell killing field, there will naturally be people outside to support you. Yu Tianming looked at the ruins of the tavern and said to Yu Yuanzhen, Grandpa, don't worry, I will never show mercy in the city of killing. A deep cave had already appeared behind the bar, and a cold wind surged out from under the cave, blowing the scorched earth on the ground. The entrance to the killing city should be here. Long before, Yu Tianming had sensed the hole under the bar. He already knew the entrance to the killing city, so he chose to kill everyone in the tavern. The charred ground burned his boots into white smoke. He ignored the heat that had not yet dissipated and walked straight to the entrance of the cave. Without hesitation, he jumped down and jumped directly into the dark hole. His body was instantly surrounded by this darkness, and his whole body was submerged in it. After falling into darkness for only a few meters, Yu Tianming was already on solid ground. No light is needed, and his sensing ability can clearly understand everything around him in the dark. This is a long corridor that extends diagonally downwards, and the cold breath blows constantly on Yu Tianming's body. But he still strode forward. Half a quarter of an hour after Yu Tianming walked forward, a cold voice suddenly came from all directions, "Welcome to the city of killing. This is the capital of hell, a world full of killing. Here, you can get what you want. Everything, the price is your life." Hearing this, Yu Tianming extended his perception ability to the maximum, only to find that there was nothingness behind him. The expression on his face froze for a moment, and Yu Tianming entered the spirit-possessed state, but his steps did not stop. After turning a corner, there was a faint light coming from the front. Yu Tianming narrowed his eyes slightly, and his electromagnetic perception ability extended again. It was an open door. Beside the portal, a large number of black-armored soldiers stood in formation. Yu Tianming listened to the noisy sounds ahead and strode forward. When he walked out of the corridor, hundreds of soldiers had already appeared in front of him. These soldiers were all wearing thick black armor, and their faces were completely covered by helmets. Hundreds of soldiers were standing in formation, holding heavy swords. Only one man was sitting on a tall war horse covered with thick black armor. The black-armored knight, who immediately sat upright, said, "You violated the rules." This deep voice was extremely cold, as if it was not coming from a living person. Yu Tianming didn't look at him, but looked behind him. This is a black city. The thick black city wall was extremely wide, and it was actually a large city. And over the city, there was actually a purple moon hanging. The moon was very low, and seemed to be less than 500 meters away from the ground. Looking upward, everything was as dark as night. Seeing this, Yushin understood, this is the underground with a barrier in Douluo continent, or it is in some large alien space. What happens if you violate the rules? Yu Tianming asked calmly. Didn't Tang San enter this way too? There are no rules in the killing city. Proving one's strength means complying with the rules. The black-armored knight's voice was still cold and devoid of any human aura. If you violate the rules, you must accept punishment. As long as you can defeat me, you are qualified to enter the killing city. After saying that, the black-armored knight slowly raised the slender knight's spear, and the black-armored soldiers on both sides also slowly retreated, leaving an open space. The war horse suddenly accelerated, and the black-armored knight rushed straight towards Yu Tianming with a cold breath. An icy aura filled the air, and an awe-inspiring murderous aura rushed towards him. Compared with the magnificent murderous aura of a top powerhouse like Yu Yuanzhen, although the murderous aura exuded by this black-armored knight is much smaller, it is more sharp. In the city of killing, all soul masters can only use the most basic power and the most basic form of martial soul. Yu Tianming's soul ring did not appear with the appearance of the martial soul. Except for the soul bone skill, all soul skills had lost their effect at this moment. Fortunately, Yu Tianming's dragon transformation will also appear with the possession of the martial spirit. Although he no longer has soul skills, his soul power is still there, and the power in his body is still there, so Yu Tianming will not panic at all. Facing the charge of the black-armored knight, Yu Tianming spread his huge wings behind him. The most defensive part of his body is not his hard skull or his broad back, but his huge wings with soul bones attached to them that can transform into dragons. The several-meter-long wings spread out and immediately blocked all paths of the war horse. The black-armored knight drove his horse and came 2 feet away from Yu Tianming. The dark knight's spear could immediately pierce Yu Tianming's throat. At this time, Yu Tianming's 2 wings suddenly closed together, and the thin wing membranes carried a huge force, as if they would not be hindered by the wind, and instantly struck the heavily armored knight riding a war horse. Boom! The war horses screamed, and the huge momentum came to an abrupt halt. A 4-meter-long heavy night gun shot into the air. Fly far away! Gongchen Gui's setting is really awkward. Human blood is called Bloody Mary. The black-armored knight calls himself Scary Knight Scott. He is indeed a man who can write resurrection, my love, I am really convinced. Chapter 53. The black knight who had been hit hard had fallen off his horse, and his waist was bent at a 90-degree angle. The knight's helmet had fallen off, revealing a ferocious middle-aged face, lying on the ground breathing heavily. And the war horse, under the slap of Yu Tianming's wings, was bleeding from all its orifices, and lay on the ground like a puddle of mud. Only the horse's legs were twitching unconsciously. The body refining of the ice and fire eyes, the strengthening of the strange velvet Babel chrysanthemum, the amplification of dragon transformation, plus the attached soul bone from the water and fire dragon king, and the explosive power of Yu Tianming's casual blow, only the black knight who has experienced it firsthand knows best. Walking forward step by step, Yu Tianming looked up at the purple moon. He thought to himself, this is a killing city where soul skills cannot be used. I am coming. Stop, stop! The Black Knight who fell to the ground yelled with anger. There was already more fear in his eyes when he looked at Yu Tianming. Obviously, he couldn't figure out why this young man's power was so terrifying. Is there such a young beast spirit titled Douluo? Yu Tianming looked at him coldly and said coldly, do you still want to stop me? No, I'm not stopping you. You have already passed my test. You are qualified to enter the Killing City. The black armored knight replied somewhat awkwardly. He threw a black sign at Yu Tianming. There is a skull carved on the sign, and there is a number below, 9527. This is proof that you are in the city of slaughter. Please enter the city and someone will greet you at the city gate. Holding the sign, Yu Tianming thought to himself, I actually forgot about this, but this black armored knight did his duty faithfully. Then he strode to the black city not far away, without taking another look at the black armored knight. Looking at Yu Tianming's retreating figure, the black armored knight, sweating profusely, shouted to the surrounding soldiers, hurry up and help me up, take me to find the King of Slaughter. The dark city gate gave people an extremely depressing feeling. The 4 characters City of Killing hung high on the huge city gate. In front of the door, 2 rows of black armored warriors stood there quietly. Before Yu Tianming could show his identity card, a woman wearing a black gauze mask had already walked out. This woman has a good figure and is wearing a black gauze skirt, in which her graceful figure is looming. Welcome to the City of Killing. The woman's voice was pleasant. She came to Yu Tianming and made a gesture of invitation. Entering the city, Yu Tianming saw it. It's a blue-purple world. The lights hung on both sides of the street only emit these 2 kinds of light. To his surprise, there are not many people here, and no one pays attention to him, an outsider. Except that everything looks so dark, at first glance, it doesn't seem to be any different from an ordinary city. The woman in black veil explained as she walked, I am your commentator. If you have anything you don't understand, you can ask me. Within 12 hours, I will answer all your questions. After 12 hours, this is where you live and you will officially become a member of the Killing City. Yu Tianming nodded and said, then how did the City of Killing come to be? The City of Killing has been in existence for thousands of years. It is said to be the domain left by a powerful soul master after he broke through level 100. All soul master skills cannot be used here, and people can only survive by relying on instinct and their own strength. Only the soul force can be a source of strength. Is this the realm that Shura God left behind when he became a god? It was probably the same as the Killing City in my memory. Yu Tianming looked at the woman in black gauze and asked again, then what are the rules here? The woman in black gauze said calmly, the rules here are that there are no rules. As a member of the Killing City, you can do anything here. Even if a titled Douluo from the outside world comes here, he will still be affected by the disappearance of his soul skills. And become weak. And under the rule of the King of Slaughter, we don't need to be afraid of them at all. In the Slaughter City, as long as you have enough ability, you can do whatever you want. But I must remind you. Because there are no rules here, you may face fatal danger at any time. In a sense, this is a paradise for sin. The paradise of sin. Yes. Because many people come here precisely because they cannot survive in the outside world. They have to choose to enter. After coming here, they no longer need to worry about being hunted. Every person in the Killing City members will be protected by the Killing City. Yu Tianming showed disdain for the idea of protection. Since he was able to get here through violent means, it meant that any strong person could do it. Without soul skills and soul power, titled Douluo is still the strongest among the strongest here. Are sinners not safe here? Rather than saying it is a paradise for fallen soul masters, it is their hell. Outside they would only commit violence against the weak, but here they would become the targets of violence at any time. Although Wuhan Palace is on the opposite side of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, they have done a good thing for Douluo continent by gathering the fallen soul masters here. Mr. 9527. I understand what you are thinking. The woman in black gauze suddenly said. Yu Tianming was stunned for a moment, do you know what I'm thinking? You must be thinking how to get out of the Killing City. Right. Yu Tianming smiled slightly and followed her words and said, oh? Then how do you go out? The woman in black gauze said with a serious face, everyone who comes to the Killing City for a period of time will have the idea of going out, but they will soon give up this idea. Everyone who enters the Killing City needs to withstand the test and the test of killing. Although you entered through a special method, you were allowed to join only after defeating the terrifying knight. However, there is one thing I must remind you. It is easy to enter the killing city, but it is almost impossible to get out of. You can only enter, but not exit. Yu Tianming looked at the woman in black gauze meaningfully. The woman in black veil nodded and said, there is a special law enforcement team in the killing city. The terrifying knight you saw is just a member of the law enforcement team. The great king of slaughter controls everything here. The real law enforcement team, the strong ones, are all soul Douluo who have been given the ability to use soul skills. The captain is also a titled Douluo. There have been many people who have tried to break out, but no one has ever been able to succeed. If a titled Douluo cannot use soul skills and is still powerful, then a titled Douluo who cannot use soul skills will almost certainly not be able to defeat a soul Douluo who can use soul skills. And according to what the woman in black veil said, the captain of the killing city law enforcement team is a titled Douluo who can use soul skills. No wonder she said you can only enter but not leave here. Tang San's number is 9528. Chapter 54. As far as I know, Haoshan Douluo Tang Hao can get out from here. Although the woman in black veil didn't know where Yu Tianming got the news, she still continued to explain calmly, there is only one way to leave the killing city, and that is to win the championship of the Hell Killing Field and have the qualification to challenge the Hell Road. Only after breaking out of the Hell Road can you open the killing city. Such a strong person will be given the title of Killing God. The killing city has been built for thousands of years, and there have been 8 killing gods before and after you. The Tang Hao mentioned is one of them. There are only 8 killing gods in 1,000 years. Needless to say, these 8 include Tang Hao and Bibi Dong, but now the city of killing has welcomed its 9th god of killing. What if the challenge fails? Yu Tianming asked. The woman in black gauze smiled and said, in the killing city, there is no failure. There is only success and death. This is true for everything. Yu Tianming smiled nonchalantly and said, it is indeed the capital of killing. The woman in black veil said, in the killing city, there is no currency, and all food and drinks are provided for free. Of course, poison is not excluded. Here, the dead are the most valuable. Everyone will use the number of skulls they own as a symbol of power. The blood and skulls obtained by killing the opponent with your own hands can be exchanged for other items. Take me to the killing fields of hell. Yu Tianming interrupted the introduction of the woman in black gauze. He is not interested in these things and now just wants to play the Hell Killing Fields game as soon as possible. The woman in black gauze was stunned for a moment. Are you sure? Less than 1/10 of the people who enter there can come out alive. It is also the place where it is easiest to reduce the population in our killing city. Everyone is required only every year entering the Hell Killing Fields once. You can live in the killing city for another year as long as you can pass the battle. Yu Tianming sensed the slight frown on the pretty face of the woman in black gauze, but still said seriously, I'm sure, let's go now. In that case, then come with me. After saying that, the woman in black gauze walked towards the city. She kept a very even pace and always followed Yu Tianming, only half a step faster than Yu Tianming. Yu Tianming's steps were neither slow nor hasty, and he quietly observed everything around him as he walked. As I was walking, a figure suddenly stood up in the dark corner of the roadside. Hey, there is a new person coming. It seems that there will be a new Bloody Mary. Quack. Looking at this person, Yu Tianming couldn't help but frown. The person who spoke could not tell his age, because his figure was so special. There seemed to be no more than 4 ounces of flesh on his body. If it weren't for the layer of skin covering it, people might easily mistake him for a skeleton. Moreover, this person is different from Gurong. His appearance is not changed because of his martial spirit, nor is it caused by practicing any special evil method. He was just deficient in energy and blood and could die at any time, and he was mentally abnormal for unknown reasons. Can someone like him pass the battle in the Hell Killing Fields once a year? Yu Tianming asked the woman in black gauze. Only then did the skull-shaped man see the woman in black gauze on the other side of Yu Tianming. As if he had encountered something terrible, he did not dare to say anything more and quickly disappeared into the darkness again. Of course not. After all, the death rate there is too high. Not everyone is willing to go through the baptism of the Hell Killing Fields. But besides going through a battle in the Hell Killing Fields every year, there is another way to survive the killing. All survive. That's 2 Bloody Marys a month. Yu Tianming already knew what a Bloody Mary was. That's human blood. From this point of view, that person just now must have contributed countless blood to become like this. I am afraid he will not be able to support it for long. I don't know how some people drink the blood drawn from such people. If you contribute too many Bloody Marys, wouldn't you be at the mercy of others? Yu Tianming said with a smile. The woman in black veil said, no, you are now in the outer city of the killing city, not the real killing city. Only the inner city is the place where there are no rules. Those who contributed to Bloody Mary's survival can only be outside activities in the city, while random killing is not allowed in the outer city. Only those warriors who survived the hell killing field are qualified to live in the inner city. Of course, the enjoyment you can get there is greater than outside, but it will also happen at any time. Facing the test of death. Yu Tianming already knew the information told by the girl in black gauze. He didn't ask any more questions and silently walked towards the inner city. Walking on the road, there were gradually more and more people on both sides. Almost everyone's face shows an unhealthy pallor, and more often than not they are skinny. Needless to say, these are the people who dare not enter the killing fields of hell and survive by contributing 2 Bloody Marys every month. Yu Tianming clearly remembers that 1 cup of blood is at least close to half a catty. 2 cups per month is 1 pound of blood, and 1 pound of blood is about 500 ml. In the previous life, a college student could only donate 400 ml of blood once. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to handle 500 ml of blood if they donated blood every month. But how could a soul master lose so much weight just because of donating blood? These soul masters are all weak people who cannot survive in the inner city. They are probably affected by the poison of the killing city due to their lack of strength. In the outer city of the killing city, there are some simple black stone houses on both sides of the street, and there are some special eating places every other section of the road. Many people lined up there waiting for food distribution. These people are just better than beggars. As for the so-called pleasure of the so-called paradise of sin, it never existed. In this regard, the explanation given by the woman in black veil is also very simple. There are 3 levels of evil people. Only the truly powerful evil ones can enjoy themselves in this fallen paradise. As for the useless waste, it only deserves to survive. The city is bigger than Yu Tianming imagined. The two of them walked for more than half an hour, and the woman in black gauze led him to the inner city wall. Compared with the outer wall of the killing city, the inner city wall is not high, and the highest point is only about 10 meters. Obviously, this city wall simply separates the inner and outer cities and does not have much defensive effect. The city gate is wide open, and there are no guards. The woman in black gauze introduced to Yu Tianming indifferently, the inner city does not need to be guarded. People from the outer city can go inside at any time as long as they have the courage to enter. Of course, when they get inside, they have to endure the unknowns of the world inside. When you first arrive in the killing city, I suggest you live in the outer city for a while before you get used to everything here. When you enter the inner city, please don't leave me for more than 5 meters. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your safety. Chapter 55. Is it safe to be with you? Yu Tianming said a little funny. The woman in the black gauze glanced at him, and her slightly pretty face exposed in the black gauze showed a proud look. I am the envoy of the King of Slaughter, and no one in the city of killing dares to offend the majesty of the King of Slaughter. During the 12 hours you enter this world, having me by your side is the best protection for your life. After this time, you can only live or die. Hearing this, Yu Tianming smiled and stepped into the inner city with the woman in black gauze without hesitation. As soon as he entered the inner city, Yu Tianming immediately felt a completely different atmosphere from the outer city. If the outer city is a dead and indifferent world, the inner city, then, is a world of luxury and madness. There are many more people in the inner city than in the outer city, which is completely different from the tranquility of the outer city. The inner city was extremely chaotic, with excited laughter, painful cries, and many creepy sounds everywhere. In a corner not far away, an extremely tall and strong man was holding a plump woman's hair in his hand, performing a restricted action movie in front of the public. There was a group of people surrounding him, but they were all cheering and encouraging him. Beside the main road, 3 or 4 people were beating a young man violently. Yu Tianming watched as one of the young man's arms was removed, and a crowd of people fought for his severed arm and chewed it. This is not so much a paradise of sin, but a world of beasts. Yu Tianming said lightly. Hearing this, the woman in black gauze responded indifferently, since you are here, you can only abide by the rules here. For the sake of Yu Tianming's handsome appearance, she explained, Mr. 9527, you don't look like an idiot. You have to know that there are no outside rules here, let alone anyone. He is your friend, and everyone may have murderous intentions for you. Yu Tianming did not appreciate it, but emphasized again, take me to the killing fields of hell. Although the woman in black veil was a little dissatisfied with him, she stopped trying to persuade him and strode towards the center of the inner city. Just like what the woman in black gauze said, with her around, although there were many unkind looks on Yu Tianming, no one came forward to harass him. Here, Yu Tianming's heart continued to contract. In his eyes, he saw too many things that he had never seen before. Although there was no food in his belly, Yu Tianming almost vomited several times. The disgust towards the killing city is increasing exponentially. Here, Yu Tianming does not need to deliberately control it at all, and the murderous intention will continue to surge up. It seems that only through killing can the anger accumulated in one's heart be released. Let's go, ahead is the killing fields of hell. The core of the killing city. Under the leadership of the woman in black gauze, Yu Tianming saw a special building. This building is completely black and shaped like an inverted funnel. It is about 50 meters high. It is similar to a hemisphere when it is less than 30 meters tall. Although it is not beautiful, it can give people a very depressing feeling. Although the population of the killing city is not large, the hell killing field is only one circle smaller than the Great Soul fighting field in Tiandu City, which shows how important its position is in the killing city. The woman in black veil introduced, the rules of the hell killing fields are very simple. After entering, sign up with your identity card, and then wait for the game to start. During the waiting period, no hands are allowed. Each group of people can enter the killing fields at 10. No matter whatever method is used, as long as they can come out alive in the end, but only one person from each group can come out alive. 1 out of 10 is indeed a killing place. Yu Tianming confirmed to the woman in black gauze, then how can we win the so-called championship? The woman in black gauze looked at Yu Tianming in surprise, as long as you can participate in 100 games, you will be the champion. However, the person currently ranked first in the hell killing fields has only participated in more than 50 games. Every time you participate in one you will have one more victory in the game, and you can live here for one more year and enjoy yourself in the inner city. Of course, you have to ensure that you are still alive after enjoying yourself. I want to go in and take a look first. The woman in black veil said, the qualification to watch the game is to contribute a cup of Bloody Mary. It can be your own or someone else's. As long as you don't feel tired, you can keep watching after entering. The game is constantly going on. As long as someone signs up, gather 10 people and we can start a game. Yu Tianming frowned slightly, this city of killing places too much emphasis on blood. At this time, several people were walking into the killing field from outside, holding a cup of scarlet blood in their hands. Seeing this, Yu Tianming called out to these people. The leader was a middle-aged man with dark skin and a hooked nose. His upper body was bare, and his chest and arms were covered with colorful tattoos. Maybe it was because he had been tattooed for too long, so the pattern on his body was a little faded. Mixed with the numerous large and small scars on his body, he looked like a blue and red spotted dog. Please give me your Bloody Mary. Yu Tianming blocked the piebald man's path and extended his right hand to him. The piebald man was stunned for a moment and looked at the woman in black gauze next to Yu Tianming, with a fierce look in his eyes. The woman in black veil said in an urgent voice, Mr. 9527, if you take the initiative to provoke me, the newcomer protection will not work. This sentence not only reminded Yu Tianming, but also reminded the spotted young man. While laughing ferociously, he summoned his sword spirit and slashed at Yu Tianming head-on. Although his movements were not fast, there was a feeling of being overwhelmed by a mountain. That was a strong fluctuation of soul power. Level 60 Soul Emperor, this is Yu Tianming's judgment for his opponent. But he did not retract his outstretched hand. Instead, he raised his right palm, making a gesture of supporting the sky, and directly grabbed the piebald man's sword with his dragon-shaped palm. At the same time, he quickly took a step forward with his left foot, closing the distance between himself and the spotted man. Soul skills cannot be used in the killing city, which is a great opportunity for Yu Tianming to use dragon transformation to torture vegetables. The piebald man felt as if the big knife in his hand had struck steel, unable to move at all. He wanted to withdraw, but was firmly grasped by Yu Tianming's raised right hand. Yu Tianming pulled forward with his right hand and grabbed the piebald man's shoulder with his left hand. But the piebald man reacted very quickly. He immediately released the machete in his right hand, threw out the cup in his left hand, and at the same time patted Yu Tianming's extended left hand. He was fast, but how could he be faster than Yu Tianming, who was blessed by dragon transformation? He wanted to pat Yu Tianming's attacking left hand, but Yu Tianming's dragon-shaped arms were as hard to shake as steel. Chapter 56. In the end, Yu Tianming's left hand still strangled the piebald man's throat unabated. Yu Tianming's thumb moved gently, and there was a click sound, just like a heavy wheat ear crushing a stalk, and the piebald man's neck fell to the side. Although there was no blood, his neck and head were only connected by flesh and blood, and the sword spirit that fell aside dissipated instantly. But in one breath, life and death were separated. Several of the companions who had come to the hell-killing fields with the piebald man to watch the battle, before Yu Tianming could help his eldest brother, Yu Tianming broke the piebald man's neck. These people have lived in the killing city for a long time and can survive in this lawless place. They react extremely quickly when facing danger. Without any hesitation, everyone turned around and ran away. Yu Tianming did not stop them, but used his tail to pick up the cup that the piebald man had dropped. Then he slashed the dead piebald man's neck with his dragon claw, and took a cup of his uncongealed blood on the spot. Yu Tianming looked at the dull woman in black gauze. "Can I enter the hell-killing fields to watch the battle with this cup?" "This, of course." She knew the tattooed man Yu Tianming killed. This man had been living happily in the killing city for nearly 10 years, and his hands were stained with the blood of at least hundreds of villains in the killing city. But he met the young-looking Yu Tianming, who ended his life as casually as an ant. The woman in black gauze was greatly shocked when she saw Yu Tianming take action for the first time. She hurriedly turned sideways and said, "I'll take you into the killing field of hell." Although the hell-killing fields occupies a huge area, the interior is decorated in a doomsday style and looks very simple. This is different from other fighting arenas. There is no isolation in this building. Under the 30-meter-high dome is a huge arena with a diameter of hundreds of meters. Outside the arena are circles of stands extending upward, as if they were covered. The Colosseum. In the small city of Killing City, this huge auditorium without partitions can already accommodate everyone in the inner city. At this time, although the crowd watching the battle was sparse, with less than 20% of the seats in the Nyo University venue, it was still less than half of the number of people in the inner city of the killing capital. When entering, the cup of Bloody Mary held by Yu Tianming was poured into a huge container. Yu Tianming randomly picked 2 seats and sat down with the woman in black gauze. As soon as the two of them sat down, 10 men and women with unusual ferocity and strange clothes walked out of the edge of the field in the center of the hell-killing fields. Seeing these people, bursts of cheers suddenly erupted from the stands. In a killing city where entertainment resources are scarce, watching this brutal fight not only helps many fallen people adapt to the battles they will face, it is also their favorite program in their boring lives. After entering the venue, most of the 10 men and women did not choose to attack directly. Instead, they stopped at the edge of the venue, keeping a distance from others and watching with vigilance. But not everyone is so cautious. A tall man covered in armor is very confident. He had cultivated with Emperor Mahun and was wearing a patchwork of armor. One piece of armor is black and the other is white, one is heavy armor and the other is plate armor. These different parts are combined together at will. Although the tall man was fat, the overly large armor could only hang loosely on his body. This is not so much a doomsday-style armor as it is a set of extremely loose bina clothes. The armored man was possessed by a martial spirit as soon as he entered the scene. Thick black hair grew all over his body, 2 fangs protruded from his mouth, and his head turned into a huge boar head. His swollen muscles stretched out the loose armor on his body, and he rushed straight towards the middle-aged scarred woman next to him. The scar-faced woman did not choose to escape. No matter where she ran in this small arena, she would meet others. If she was attacked from both sides, she would be more likely to die. She summoned a long knife, holding the knife in both hands and facing the quill boar charging towards her. Seeing this, the wild boar grinned and rushed towards her faster. As soon as the two of them came into contact, the woman's long knife penetrated the gap in the armor as accurately as a cook cutting an ox, and made several cuts. Through the damaged armor, the man's dark yellow fat particles can be seen. After he was wounded by the knife, he became violent. He protected his throat and other fatal parts, held the long knife in his hand, and stepped in front of the scar-faced woman. Although the wild boars are tall and fat, they are not slow and their attacks are extremely swift. He smashed the woman's head into pieces with 2 slaps from close to her face, and the red and white splattered all over his armor. Seeing the 2 people fighting to the death, a burst of warm cheers erupted from the audience. The woman in black veil explained to Yu Tianming, the battles in the hell-killing fields are different from the great soul-fighting arenas in the outside world. Every battle here is about life and death, so the battles will be extremely cruel. Yu Tianming didn't say much, just nodded and continued to watch the game. After killing the scar-faced woman, the wild boar man ignored his wounds, but grinned and looked at the other soul masters who were on guard against each other. Now the wild boar is covered in red and white, and his ugly face is full of horror. Upon seeing this, many soul masters stopped being wary of each other, and instead moved slowly toward the wild boar in tacit agreement. But the wild boar man was not afraid at all and rushed towards the soul master who was not far away from him. These soul masters were far less powerful than the scar-faced woman, but after just half a stick of incense, several more corpses appeared at the feet of the wild boar man. Although the wild boars were covered in wounds, there were only the last 3 people left in the field fighting for survival. The survival rate is 1 in 10, and you will be attacked by enemies after the game. In fact, most of the situations here are about 1 out of 10. Seeing this, the woman in black gauze reminded Yu Tianming, in the killing field of hell, even the winner is likely to be attacked by sneak attacks after the game. This wild boar spirit master underestimated the scar-faced woman holding a long knife from the beginning. Now, even if he can kill the remaining 3 people, he will still be seriously injured. Someone will definitely ambush him after the duel, which is more dangerous than a duel. Yu Tianming couldn't deny it, but he still said to the woman in black gauze, "Please, sign up for me. I want to participate in the next competition." The woman in black veil no longer doubted the strength of the young man in front of her, and the battle entering the hell-killing field made her involuntarily feel a sense of fear. She nodded without hesitation and took the ID card handed over by Yu Tianming to sign up. Regarding the killing city, Yu Tianming's only feeling was nausea. He didn't want to spend even one more day here. After winning 100 games and winning the championship, you can then challenge the Hell Road and you will be able to leave here. He decided to start his killing journey today. Chapter 57. When the woman in black veil came back, the battle between several people was coming to an end. Unexpectedly, the originally arrogant wild boar spirit master eventually fell into the hands of an ordinary man. This man looked somewhat similar to Yu Xiaogang. He didn't look like a strong man at first glance, but he survived to the end among many cruel people. However, in the killing fields of hell, no matter who you are, you can only pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger once at most. He succeeded in killing Wild Boar Man this time, and many viewers remembered his face. No one will regard him as a weakling in the future. After the battle, the staff began to clean up the site and remove the remaining limbs. The woman in black gauze looked at Yu Tianming. There will be at least one reserved match in the hell killing fields. Before the first battle starts, the players for the second battle will be ready. You are fighting next, and you are going to fight before the next one. It's time to go to the waiting room and get ready. Hearing this, Yu Tianming nodded, thinking, in this case, there is no way to continue competing. This can also explain why it took Tang San 2 years to get out, and why the killing fields, where 10 people could start a battle, was still ranked in the competition. He then walked out of the auditorium and headed to the player waiting room below the auditorium. In order to prevent conflicts between players in the waiting room, each player is in a single room. After entering the single room, the players will be locked in the room and cannot enter or exit until the staff informs them to enter. After burning a stick of incense, Yu Tianming and the 9 contestants entered the duel field at the same time. I'm in a hurry, so come on together. Perhaps due to the influence of the 4th spirit ring, Yu Tianming's shout clearly spread throughout the duel field under the audience. The other 9 people in the arena heard this and looked at Yu Tianming. Even if he didn't shout like this, with the appearance of Yu Tianming possessed by the martial spirit, everyone would think that he was the strongest person in the arena. The audience in the stands cheered when they saw the reaction of the players. It wasn't that Yu Tianming gave up his previous cautious attitude and became arrogant, but he knew that there was no way to hide his achievements in the killing fields of hell, and the right way was to complete a few more battles before his reputation was spread. Seeing that everyone he was dueling with was cautious and did not take action, Yu Tianming shook his head helplessly, strode to the center of the field, smiled slightly, and mottled light spots began to appear all over his body. Before Yu Tianming fully charged up, several hidden weapons were fired from around him. In Douluo continent, although the hidden weapons of Meng Yuan and others are not as powerful as Tang San's, they are still extremely sinister. Yu Tianming frowned slightly. He was not afraid of the damage caused by these hidden weapons, but some of them were poisoned with something unknown, making them look extremely disgusting. Yu Tianming stopped accumulating energy and directly released the energy he had accumulated. In just an instant, thunder, flames and hurricanes swept through the entire arena hundreds of meters in diameter in a hemispherical shape. Several weak fallen ones fell to the ground under this wave of energy without taking any action. There were only 3 men who looked quite fierce and rushed towards Yu Tianming. The aura of these 3 people was about the same as that of the Soul King. When they were hit by the shock wave, their bodies were only blackened, which did not affect their actions. Instead, they rushed towards Yu Tianming at the same time in a tacit understanding to form a double team. They knew that with Yu Tianming's strength, if they could not kill him, then they would definitely die. Seeing this, Yu Tianming slowly raised his right index finger and gathered several kinds of energy at the fingertip. Under the electromagnetic induction, Yu Tianming pointed his finger at the forehead of the man in front of him, a beam of light flashed through, and a black hole instantly appeared in the man's head. Yu Tianming raised his left hand slowly and unhurriedly, pointing his arms to the left and right sides. Just when the other 2 Soul Kings were more than 10 meters away from him, they shot out 2 more beams of light, leaving a small black hole in the foreheads of these 3 Soul Kings. After killing 3 people, Yu Tianming did not stop, but hit the remaining 6 people one by one. In just 2 minutes, the killing was over. Seeing Yu Tianming neatly deal with several people, the audience did not cheer, but became silent. The woman in black gauze in the stands couldn't help but wonder, why can he release his soul skills in the killing field of hell? Is this 9527 self-created soul skill? Or does he have at least 2 soul bones? Seeing that everyone was dead, Yu Tianming strode back to the registration area. After absorbing the 5th soul ring, he greatly improved his ability to bind energy together. The 3 types of energy that were originally condensed into a ball in the palm of the hand do very little damage when used, and can only be used to torture food. Now Yu Tianming needs the energy of the 3 extreme attributes together and condenses it into light at his fingertips. Not only does it greatly increase the damage, but it can also concentrate the damage on one point. The power of a single shot is comparable to an ordinary 10,000-year soul skill, and the speed of the shot is extremely fast, making it impossible for opponents of the same level to react. Yu Tianming walked to the registration area, picked up his number plate and handed it to the staff. I want to sign up for the next duel. In this life, Yu Tianming, who had been pampered since childhood, came to the killing city, just like the rich man in the previous life lived in the black slums. Even if he is not afraid of vandalism, looting, and burning, the dirty and messy environment is enough to make him uncomfortable. In order to escape from this dirty and dark underground world as soon as possible, he not only must win as soon as possible, but also must get out alive. A month later, Yu Tianming had won more than 30 games in a row, and had killed more than 300 fallen people. This month, Yu Tianming continued to sign up as long as he won. When it was not his turn to fight, he would rest in the waiting room for a while. His storage ring was filled with food and dry food, and he would take a few bites after fighting. In this way, he has won more than 30 games in a row but has never left the hell killing fields. The entire killing city knows that there is a fighting maniac who has been blocking the killing arena. Every time, it is an overwhelming victory. Whoever goes will die. The fallen who originally participated in the killing fields of hell all had a sense of luck that they would be matched with a weak person. Now that Yu Tianming is stuck here, although the survival probability of participating in the hell killing fields has only dropped from 1/10 to 1/20, it has also eliminated the chance of many weak people. Suddenly, the originally bustling killing arena became deserted, and it often took Yu Tianming several days to gather 10 people to duel with him. However, he is not in a hurry. In the inner city, everyone is required to enter the hell killing fields once a year. Only if they can pass a battle can they live in the killing city for another year. As long as someone is willing to live in the inner city, as long as he remains blocked in the killing fields of hell, there will definitely be people who choose to continue to fight in order to live in the inner city. Chapter 58. 1 year later. Yu Tianming has participated in 52 battles. Although he has only won 52 battles, the number of his men has already exceeded 1,000. Compared with when he first came here, Yu Tianming looked a little more bloodthirsty and crazy now, and even his body was covered with a faint smell of blood. Cold, bloodthirsty, cruel, and crazy, the aura on his body seemed to be integrated with the killing fields of hell. In this year, Yu Tianming has killed 3 opponents whose soul power exceeded level 80. In the city of killing, one doesn't have to have strong soul power to have absolute strength. In a soul master without soul skills, he is like a tiger without its claws. Even if Contra meets Yu Tianming, a killing machine, it will be hated on the spot. This year, he has not always been unilaterally massacring the fallen, but he has also encountered many dangers. The biggest danger that Yu Tianming encountered was that he had been stuck in the hell killing fields, killing the fallen, and improving his record aroused public outrage. He was ambushed by a Contra with a soul bone and hundreds of fallen as he headed to the registration office. Although the weak attack could not cause damage to Yu Tianming, and the number of people no longer meant much to him, the presence of many miscellaneous fish also made him lose the space to dodge. In this battle, because many fallen ones blocked his position, Contra, who possessed the soul bone skill, spat out a water blade and instantly cut off the dragon-shaped head in the middle of Yu Tianming, leaving only the two sides possessed by martial spirits. The faucet produced wind. Fortunately, Yu Tianming, who possesses Ghidorah's martial spirit, has nerves all over the dragon-transformed parts of his body, and his head is no longer a fatal point. After he fell to the ground, although the spirit possession was not released, the Contra confidently came forward to peel off the spirit bones from his body. When he walked to Yu Tianming's side, the dragon heads on both sides of Yu Tianming suddenly stretched out, biting Contra, dragged him in front of him, and punched him to death. Just after biting Contra, Yu Tianming's middle head grew back at a speed visible to the naked eye. This scene shocked many of the beleaguered degenerates. In this battle, Yu Tianming successfully obtained Contra's left arm soul bone, and nearly half of the hundreds of fallen who had besieged him were killed or injured. Yu Tianming became famous in one battle and was called the Immortal Dragon by many degenerates in the Killing City. After a big battle, Yu Tianming seemed to have nothing happened and walked into the killing field of hell again. But because of Yu Tianming's terrifying record and the strange resilience of being reborn after being decapitated, no one dared to enter the killing fields of hell during that half-month period, and more degenerates chose to use their previous savings to survive. Most of those who ran out of games survived by contributing their blood. After all, compared to immediate death, lingering is the choice for these gutter rats. However, there are still a small number of people who have exhausted the game slots and are unwilling to contribute blood, so they will come to the hell killing fields to take the risk. They tried to rely on the mechanism of at least one reserve match in the hell killing fields, pinning their hopes on this and praying that they would not encounter Yu Tianming. Because of this, even though Yu Tianming has been stuck in the killing arena of hell, he has only won 52 victories, which is not even as good as Tang San, who also stayed in the killing arena for a year. But a year later, more and more fallen people had exhausted the number of matches. Time gradually made them forget the influence of Yu Tianming, and the number of people who came to fight regardless of life and death began to gradually increase. In the killing field of hell, 10 people slowly entered the duel field. Yu Tianming was ranked third among these 10 people, but he was the focus of the other 9 people's attention. At this time, among the 9 people who walked into the killing field of hell with Yu Tianming, 3 of them were already fighting like chaff all over their bodies, and the remaining 6 were all fierce in appearance and inwardly. After these 9 people were imprisoned in the duel venue, they surrounded Yu Tianming almost immediately. Although they already know that their chances of winning are low, they are still willing to give it a try for a glimmer of hope of survival. They knew that if they worked together to attack the lower body of the immortal dragon Yu Tianming today, they might still have hope of survival. Yes, after this year of fighting, although Yu Tianming was covered by his pants, these cunning degenerates had already noticed that he had not transformed into a dragon below the waist. Every time they participate in a battle, these fallen ones will not attack the vital points such as the head and neck first, but instead attack their hips and legs. Although Yu Tianming's lower limbs were not transformed into dragons, they were tempered by the immortal grass twice. The defensive power after being possessed by the martial spirit should not be underestimated. And this year's fighting has made him more comfortable in dealing with these attacks. This year, Yu Tianming's soul power only increased by 1 level. Although his soul power has improved very little, he made up for his lack of actual combat in this hell killing field. Now he can defeat 3 of his selves from a year ago at the same time. Now there seemed to be a touch of blood red in Yu Tianming's deep black pupils, and the cold and bloodthirsty murderous aura spread out of him almost instantly. Roaring and hissing, 9 voices sounded from 9 directions around Yu Tianming almost at the same time. 9 opponents rushed towards Yu Tianming at the same time. But these people did not disturb Yu Tianming's mood at all. Instead, Yu Tianming faced these people and showed a cruel smile. Under the electromagnetic induction, the light beams at Yu Tianming's fingertips drew beautiful arcs like gorgeous fireworks, shooting at the vital points of the 9 people. It was just a flash of the beam, and many weak fallen fell to the ground. Only 3 people survived from Yu Tianming's laser. Of these 3 people, 2 are at level 60 and 1 is at level 70. In other words, 2 soul emperors and 1 soul saint. It wasn't that they were able to dodge Yu Tianming's beam, but because they were able to react reluctantly, either using their beastly bodies to resist, or using their weapon souls to block, they protected their vital points and were not killed instantly. If they could use soul skills, these 3 people might be able to pose a fatal threat to Yu Tianming, who was over level 50. But this is the city of killing, but without the soul ring, the main channel for using soul power, they cannot pose much threat to Yu Tianming. The 3 people moved at the same time, either clenching fists or holding weapons. Under the influence of their own strong soul power, they lowered their bodies from 3 angles and rushed towards Yu Tianming together. Their spirits have also been completely locked on the 52-win immortal dragon in front of them. They know that victory or defeat depends on this one move, and there is only one chance. After 3 seconds, the fighting stopped. All 3 people fell on the dark red floor of the hell-killing fields. On the scales on Yu Tianming's palm, there was a trace of broken scales, which was left by the soul saint and his opponent. After the battle, Yu Tianming walked away slowly without taking another look. Chapter 59. On the dome of the killing arena, in a dark and spacious room, there was an extraordinarily huge chair, inlaid with blue and purple crystals, which outlined a drum tower-like shape. Everything here is dark red except for this chair. The immortal dragon has won another battle. A cold female voice sounded in the darkness. I know. A tall figure sat down on the giant chair. He couldn't see his appearance clearly in the dark, but he could vaguely see that the man was very slender. The Great King. Should we start contacting him? In the killing city, no truly strong person has joined us for a long time. Do you think he is a real strong man? Asked the tall man sitting on the chair. The soul power of the immortal demon dragon is not particularly strong, but its body is very strong, and it has extremely abnormal recovery capabilities. It is simply born for the killing city. Even a titled Douluo without soul skills can't do it in the killing city. It's impossible to kill him. I'm sure there are at least 2 soul bones in his body. The King of Slaughter was silent for a moment and said slowly, then do you think he can complete 100 games and challenge the road to hell? It's only a matter of time before he completes 100 games. But on Hell Road, it may be difficult for him to challenge. The King of Slaughter said coldly, then there is no need to contact him. Why? Great King, don't you want our killing city to become stronger? Wait until he completes 100 victories and then see if he is willing to join the killing city. If not, let him go through this hell. The woman with a cold voice took a breath of cold air. The Great King of Slaughter, didn't he leave such instructions on the allegorical wall of our city of killing? The arrival of the god of death will bring disaster to hell. In the past 20 years, the first 2 the appearance of the god of death caused heavy damage to the killing city. The King of Slaughter said solemnly, he is the best. If he wants to be the 3rd god of killing, let him die on this road to hell. After saying that, he waved his big hand, and a stream of rich dark red liquid flew out in front of him. In the darkness, there was a huge blood pool in front of him, filled with sticky blood. The King of Slaughter opened his mouth and swallowed the blood into his belly. In the dim light, 2 fangs were vaguely exposed. Time keeps passing by while waiting and killing. Nearly a year has passed. Yu Tianming is only one final game away from winning the title of Hell Killing Fields champion. Yu Tianming sat cross-legged in the waiting room of the Hell Killing Fields, with waves of cold murderous intent exuding from his body. I thought that after the number of people who ran out of competition spots gradually increased, more people would come to take the risk in the Hell Killing Fields. Unexpectedly, because he had been stuck in the Hell Killing Fields, he put too much pressure on these people, causing a large number of unruly people to go to the outer city to donate blood. It was not that Yu Tianming had never thought about walking out of the killing fields of hell just like Tang San and finding a small house to live in the inner city. But he clearly knew that his physical strength would be greatly reduced if he was not possessed by a martial spirit. The waiting room in Hell's killing fields was cramped, but safe and undisturbed. If you sleep in the inner city, you will easily be attacked by someone when you find the opportunity, which is extremely dangerous. In the past 2 years, Yu Tianming had been waiting to kill in addition to killing, and the murderous aura he had gathered was much more pure than Tang San's. If someone sees Yu Tianming, at first glance they will mistakenly think that his eyes are blood red under the influence of murderous aura. Only after a second glance can they discover his clear and bright black eyes. In 2 years, more than 1,000 degenerates died in his hands. Although those people are inherently evil and depraved, every time he kills a person, Yu Tianming will feel the murderous aura in his body increase a little, and these murderous auras will also continue to affect him invisibly. The rising murderous intent was nothing at first, but when Yu Tianming killed more and more people here, he found that these murderous intent began to affect his own mind. At the beginning, bloodthirsty emotions were only occasionally revealed, but as time went on, the murderous aura became more and more obvious. Now, when he sees any creature, his first reaction is to kill it. Unlike Tang San, he has neither the Taoist technique Xian Tian Gong nor the spiritual skull of wisdom, nor can he drink human blood like Hu Lina. Calm your heart. It was only because Ghidorah's martial spirit's nervous system was very special and difficult to be affected that he was able to control his thoughts of killing. But Yu Tianming knew that there might be something wrong with his mental state. 3 days later, the killing fields of hell. The last opponent was killed by Yu Tianming's dragon claw. In the past 2 years, he has either been fighting or waiting for a fight. Now he has finally finished fighting these 100 battles. Even though he was as calm as he was, he couldn't help raising his hands at this moment, releasing the terrifying and bloody murderous aura from his whole body without any reservation. The almost substantial murderous aura formed a huge vortex in the air. Because they wanted to watch Yu Tianming's 100th game, for the first time in 2 years, so many fallen people were seated in the auditorium around the Nyo University venue. But at this time, many fallen people were silent under the influence of the huge murderous aura released from his body. Everyone thinks that the undead dragon is the most terrifying existence. Because no one has ever been able to hold on for more than half an hour in his hands. No matter who it is, he will kill it instantly. Yu Tianming is an opponent that no one in the killing city wants to face. Their silence was only because they were frightened by Yu Tianming's murderous intent. Without Yu Tianming's fright, they would definitely be happy to see this murderous god away. Congratulations, young murderer! Deep and sharp sounds suddenly came from all directions. The murderous aura released from Yu Tianming's body actually poured back the moment the sound was heard, and was pressed back into his body. Yu Tianming's face suddenly turned pale. The atmosphere in the hell-killing field suddenly rose to the extreme. Because in mid-air, a blood-red figure was falling from the sky. King of Slaughter! King of Slaughter! King of Slaughter! The shouts made the fallen ones become hoarse, but they had no intention of stopping. Yu Tianming felt awe-inspiring and looked towards the scarlet figure in mid-air. It was a tall man, his whole body wrapped in a huge scarlet cloak. With a pale face and a pair of completely blood-red eyes, the body slowly descended from the air, as if it did not need to be restricted by gravity at all. Yu Tianming had seen the same scene in many titled Douluo. He was certain that this person who fell from the sky was definitely ultimate Douluo Tang Chen. Chapter 60. The King of Slaughter stopped his descent, suspended in mid-air 5 meters above the ground, and set his sights on the viewing platform of the hell-killing fields. I am very happy to witness the birth of a strong man in the killing field today. Yum, who has not appeared for more than 10 years, is revealed in a young man. With his powerful strength and terrifying murderous intent, he so many victories won, at. Yes, the King of Slaughter seems to have a unique charm that makes all the fallen have an almost crazy worship after seeing him. From his body, Yu Tianming could smell a faint sweetness, which was a somewhat intoxicating smell. Unfortunately, for him, this impact is not very big. The King of Slaughter lowered his head and looked at Yu Tianming. Immortal Dragon, you have won 100 victories. In order to commend your achievements, I decided to grant you the title of God of Killing. From now on, you can enter and exit the Killing Palace on your own capital, and was hired as the guest minister of the Killing Capital under me. Hearing this, many fallen people in the audience cheered again. No need to take the road to hell? What the hell is this King of Slaughter doing? Granting the title of God of Death without going through the hell road? Unlike the audience who cheered blindly, Yu Tianming, who knew the plot clearly, instantly understood the intention of the King of Killing. The King of Killing in front of them, the parasitized Tang Chen, did not want them to obtain the realm of the God of Death at all. Yu Tianming said, no need. The great King of Slaughter cannot break the rules of the Slaughter City because of us. I am willing to pass the test of the Hell Road and get your reward. Rely on my own strength to get out of here, become a real God of Death. The King of Slaughter's eyes narrowed, you may not be aware of the horrors of the Hell Road. Immortal Dragon, I hope you can understand that a person's life is only once, and you are not really immortal. Yu Tianming smiled calmly, the purpose of my coming here is to walk the Hell Road. King of Slaughter, I appreciate your kindness. Please open the entrance to the Hell Road. Hearing this, Tang Chen said no more, and circles of light red halo were released from the King of Slaughter. In that case, then you should take the road to hell. If you can pass the test of the road to hell, you can become the 9th god of death in the city of killing. The Slaughter King's tone became obviously colder, even with a hint of sarcasm. Isn't the road to hell so easy to navigate? Thick red mist was suddenly released from the Slaughter King, and the huge aura forced Yu Tianming to retreat quickly. After retreating for tens of meters, he could barely bear it. What the King of Slaughter releases is not murderous aura, but an extremely evil aura, a cold that makes even the bone marrow freeze. God Shura has no evil aura, this is the power of God Rakshasa. The cold red ripples slowly spread out, spreading to the entire place in almost a few blinks of an eye. The degenerates sitting in the audience were all surprisingly excited. They all wanted to see the road to hell open. However, what they don't know is that their lives have come to an end. Except for the God of Death and the King of Slaughter, no one has ever seen the road to hell open, because everyone who has seen it has died. In other words, they all became sacrifices to open the road to hell. Yu Tianming soon discovered that the red light released from the Slaughter King was not directed at him, but towards the surrounding stands. The fallen who were cheering crazily gradually became quiet as the red light landed on the viewing platform, and their eyes gradually became dull, and then turned from dull to red with blood. A moment later, when the red light formed a huge barrier across the entire hell-killing field, painful screams began to sound from the people who were first exposed to the red light. Affected by the red light, those degenerates seemed to have gone crazy, desperately grabbing their faces and bodies. Most of the fallen who can survive in the inner city have a certain level of strength. At this time, they fully exert their strength on themselves, and even their screams contain extremely exciting pleasure. It seems that I have gained unlimited enjoyment in this process of self-abuse. The skin rolled, blood spurted everywhere, and they even had their own internal organs ripped out of their bodies. Their madness will not stop until the end of their lives. More and more degenerates undergo such changes, until they spread to the entire place. Although Yu Tianming had experienced countless killings in this killing city, facing the large-scale horrific situation in front of him, his face could not help but turn pale, murderous aura surged in his body, and it became increasingly difficult to suppress the desire to kill. A strong anger flashed in Yu Tianming's eyes. As long as you are a human being, as long as you have a little bit of humanity, you will definitely be filled with hatred towards the killing city when you see the scene in front of you. The blood of the fallen in the spectator seats was scattered on the ground and condensed together. A large amount of blood gathered in small streams and flowed to the central area of the killing field along the inconspicuous small pipes under the auditorium. Countless winding red liquids flowed into the field like little snakes. Yu Tianming's fists tightened unconsciously, and thick murderous aura continued to burst out of his body, with the possibility of exploding at any time. It is their honor to be the sacrifice that opens the hell road. The deep voice of the Slaughter King sounded. At this time, the screams had gradually stopped, and except for Yu Tianming and the King of Slaughter, there seemed to be no one alive here. The blood flowed into the field and did not spread in a straight line. Grooves appeared on the ground at some point, and the blood flow was poured into them. Gradually, it converged into a huge blood-red pattern on the ground. At this time, Yu Tianming is in this pattern. It is difficult to see the whole picture clearly with the naked eye, but his spiritual power is much stronger than that of ordinary soul masters, and he has electromagnetic induction. In his induction, he discovered that the pattern formed by the blood was actually a creature similar to a bird, but it looked a little strange and was not as simple as an ordinary bird. What exactly is this? Just when Yu Tianming was confused, suddenly, the bird's eyes lit up, and its electromagnetic induction ability lost its effect almost instantly. A huge red light rose into the sky, instantly sweeping Yu Tianming inside. All surrounding perceptions become blurred. Only the deep and sharp voice of the Slaughter King echoed in my ears. Good luck on the road to hell. At the moment when his mental power was crushed, Yu Tianming finally figured out what the bird-shaped pattern looked like, a bat. It seemed to be the pattern of a bat. Chapter 61. In the entanglement of the blood-red light, Yu Tianming felt that his feet were empty, and everything around him became illusory. Some of his perceptions had been completely blocked at this moment, and the inability to control his own pain caused an inexplicable fear in his heart. But what Yu Tianming couldn't see was that his murderous aura gathered into a layer of faint white ripples to protect him. If it weren't for the existence of these murderous intentions, Yu Tianming would have been truly devoured the moment the blood spread. Because there is no blue-silver field, Yu Tianming cannot isolate the cold, evil and dead breath in the blood light during the transmission process. He didn't know how long he had endured the pressure of the blood light. After a violent shock, all of Yu Tianming's perceptions returned. But at this time, a faint layer of blood mist enveloped him, and his eyes completely turned blood red. Around the body, the white ripples continued to fluctuate and intensify. In order to suppress his violent murderous intention, his body continued to spasm. After several hours, Yu Tianming finally regained his breath and used electromagnetic induction to explore the surroundings with all his strength. After observing carefully, he couldn't help but take a breath. The situation in front of him was much more sinister than he imagined. He is on a circular platform. This platform is only about 5 meters in diameter and is suspended above the abyss. Everything under the dark and hazy kilometers was blood, or rather a pool of blood. The blood pool below should be the human blood accumulated in the killing city over the years. It is what the killing city calls Bloody Mary and the sacrifice for this road to hell. It seems that this hell road is not only the way out of the slaughter city, but also should be the core of the entire slaughter city. In other words, it is the energy source of the strange realm of the killing city. Because in this killing city, the most important thing is blood, and the so-called Bloody Mary will appear almost everywhere here. Just as Tang San said in the original work, this blood contains chronic poison and can also have a certain stimulating effect. There are many ways to control people in the world. Why do the rulers of the killing city always use blood? Is it just to give people a more mysterious feeling? There must be some secret in this. Although I don't know the real secret of the blood in the killing city. But what is certain is that if the source of blood is lost, it will be a huge blow to the entire killing city, and it may even be devastating. Yu Tianming thought to himself, should he imitate Tang San and throw a snow-colored swan kiss into the blood pool, completely destroying the city of killing and denying Tang San the chance to inherit the throne of Shura? But destroying the killing city will cause the fallen soul masters who have lost their last retreat to wander around the continent, harming all living beings. In this way, how is he different from Tang San, a beast? Because the fairy grass was carried by Yu Yuanzhen and was not on his body, Yu Tianming finally left this issue to think about later. After exploring the surrounding area, Yu Tianming looked at the path ahead. The road is only 15 centimeters wide, making it difficult for both feet to stand at the same time. The wide and narrow path leads to the unknown darkness, and this is also the only way to the outside world on their platform. In response, Yu Tianming couldn't help but frowned. He is not incapable of flying like Tang San and Hu Lina, so he won't worry about the dangerous situation on the path in front of him. Although the path ahead was completely suspended in the air, with his own wings, he did not rely on this path and could easily fly over it at any time. What he was worried about was whether he, like Tang San and Hu Lina, would meet the 3-headed Bat King and the 10-headed fierce Sun Snake. You must know that decades before these two people passed the road to hell, Bibi Dong and Tang Hao had already passed the road to hell twice. According to the temperament of these two people, if there were really 3 Bat Kings and 10 burning Sun Snakes blocking their way, they would have been beaten to pieces by these two killing gods. Where would they leave Tang San? Faced with this unknown threat, Yu Tianming did not move forward rashly. Instead, he sat down on the round platform, calming down and adjusting his breath to the influence of Tang Chen's blood light. Half an hour later, Yu Tianming opened his eyes, possessed by a martial spirit. Instead of flying, he walked down the narrow road to hell. Because the target is larger when the wings are spread out, it is easier to be attacked. When flying, it is attacked, and if there is no landing point, it is easy to fall into the magma pool. It is better to walk on the ground and avoid danger by flying. Yu Tianming's figure slowly disappeared into a dark red, far away from the small round platform behind him. Because of his wide range of electromagnetic induction, Yu Tianming didn't walk slowly, it could even be said to be a trot. As he was walking forward, Yu Tianming suddenly stopped. The air began to heat up. In the electromagnetic induction, not far ahead, there were at least a group of thousands of bats, approaching him quickly. Gradually, the road to hell was no longer quiet, and rustling sounds began to come from the surroundings. Although it was very subtle and still far away, with the flying speed of these bats, it wouldn't take long for them to come to him. The buzzing sound became louder and louder, and Yu Tianming could already see some red shadows approaching quickly. After a few breaths, the bat swarm finally flew in front of him. They were blood-red bats, just like a smaller version of the blood-red pattern left on the ground of the hell-killing field. Each blood bat is about a foot long, but its huge wings extend over 1 meter. Thousands of these bats flew together, like a red cloud floating in the sky. When Yu Tianming saw so many blood bats, he looked calm. Although his soul skills were suppressed, it did not affect the release of his martial soul. Long before the arrival of the bloody bat, the scales around him began to radiate full of energy. The blood-red bat flew very fast, and in a short time it was in front of Yu Tianming. Their eyes are also blood-red. When they find the target, they make a squeaking sound and reveal their sharp fangs. Thousands of blood bats flapped their wings together, bringing gusts of fishy wind, but when they came near Yu Tianming, these winds turned into gentle breezes and dissipated silently. The blood bats in the air seemed to have wisdom. When they saw this, they did not rush to attack. Instead, they quickly circled in midair and surrounded Yu Tianming. At this time, it was equivalent to every direction of Yu Tianming's body. There are blood bats ready to attack. When these bats gathered around him, Yu Tianming smiled slightly, the murderous aura accumulated in his body was released, and his eyes were dyed red. The brightness of the scales around Yu Tianming suddenly increased, and a large wave of energy spurted out instantly. Chapter 62. Thunder, flames, and hurricanes formed a ball with a diameter of hundreds of meters, sweeping away the densely packed bats around them. The bats that originally looked like a huge red cloud were cleared away in an instant, leaving only a few blood bats far apart. The blood bat seems to be very intelligent. After all his companions were killed and injured, he refused to approach Yu Tianming easily. They did not launch an attack, but fell hundreds of meters away from Yu Tianming. Seeing this, Yu Tianming popped out several light cyan wind blades from his fingertips and shot them at the bats. But who would have expected that the blood bat's body swung slightly in the air and dodged the wind blade narrowly and narrowly? Yu Tianming felt awestruck in his heart. Bats were no different than other birds. They had a special keen ability, ultrasonic waves, which could easily grasp the enemy's attacks. It was a special ability that even mental power could not affect. Unless your speed exceeds the limit of their reaction, it will be difficult to hurt them. And judging from the reaction speed of the blood bat to dodge Yu Tianming's attack just now, this kind of bat should be a strange species among bats. Regardless of speed or attack, it is the best choice, and it may even have poison. Perhaps because the wind blade aroused the fear of the blood bats, the next moment, the remaining bats distanced themselves from Yu Tianming. Yu Tianming was not purified by the blue-silver domain. After being teleported by Tang Chen with blood light, he had been resisting the oppression of this evil murderous intent. This greatly reduced his ability to control soul power, and he was unable to use the 3-attribute beam of the killing arena. If you attack these bats with all your strength, you will also consume a lot of soul power. On this road to hell, he must save his soul power as much as possible. Who knows what kind of crisis he will encounter later. Seeing this, Yu Tianming ignored the bats in the distance and ran forward in large strides. This time, he began to accelerate on the ground that was only half a foot wide, running into the distance at a faster speed. Yu Tianming's sudden increase in speed surprised the blood bats in the distance, and several blood bats hurriedly flapped their wings to catch up. Just as they were getting closer and closer. Suddenly, Yu Tianming's forward body suddenly stopped, and golden lightning shot out from his palm instantly. A branched golden electric light instantly connected several bats that were unable to react. With the cooperation of electromagnetic induction, each of Yu Tianming's electric lights produced the desired effect. Several bats that had been following for a long time fell into the abyss at their feet, their bodies charred. Yu Tianming turned around expressionlessly and continued to move forward quickly. The surrounding air began to gradually and continuously rise, and the blood in the blood pool turned out to be as hot as magma. The threat of the blood bats behind him has been eliminated, but the rising heat in the abyss on both sides caused Yu Tianming to think. At the beginning, the platform was about 1,000 meters away from the blood pool, but now the distance should have been shortened to 800 meters. If this is the case, the last section of the road will be submerged in the blood pool. Thinking of this, Yu Tianming couldn't help but wonder, when he came here, he walked through the cave under the tavern. Why did he keep walking down when he went out? Could it be that the killing city was built in the hill behind the tavern, and he teleported there when he went down to the cave? Or is it that the killing city is an independent plane attached to Douluo continent? As they continued to move forward, the bat group in front also sensed Yu Tianming's presence. Squeak! I don't know which blood bat called out the first sound, and then all the blood bats started to make sharp screams. Their voices were extremely harsh, and Yu Tianming frowned. He sensed that right in front of this narrow road, underneath the road, was a huge guy hanging upside down. It emits dark golden light under the surrounding light red light. The guy was about 4 meters in length, and his 2 huge claws were clasped on the narrow road. Each claw had a diameter of more than 1 meter and was sharp enough to claw into the stone. Amidst the screams of a large number of blood bats, a pair of huge wings slowly opened on the dark golden body, and the terrifying wingspan was as wide as 10 meters. Its claws suddenly opened, and with its huge wings flapping, its huge body flew up. It turned out to be a bat king with a wingspan longer than that of an ordinary blood bat. The bat king has a dark golden body, and the most terrifying thing is that it actually has 3 heads. All the blood bats flew through the air quickly, gathered behind the huge dark gold 3-headed bat, and rushed towards Yu Tianming together. Yu Tianming thought to himself, if it is a dragon-like soul beast, its shape is just right for my soul ring. Yu Tianming did not go to fight, but stood there quietly, regulating his soul power, waiting for the Bat King to come. Within a few breaths, the dark gold 3-headed bat arrived in front of Yu Tianming. The head in the center let out a piercing cry, spread out its terrifying wings, and suddenly rushed towards Yu Tianming. Before the huge body fell down, an unparalleled tyrannical momentum had already arrived, and the terrifying wind stirred up by its wings was even more terrifying than all the previous blood-red bats combined. Yu Tianming immediately judged that the strength of this dark gold 3-headed bat was definitely higher than the ordinary 10,000-year soul beast. Facing such a huge and flying guy, an ordinary soul master would be extremely disadvantaged in such a narrow terrain. But Yu Tianming is different, he still has a pair of wings that have not yet spread out. The flying dark gold 3-headed bat came to Yu Tianming. Instead of flying over and attacking with its claws, it screamed, and a circle of dark red ripples spread from its head, heading straight towards Yu Tianming. Shrouded over. He instantly spread his wings, flew up, dodged the dark red ripples, and headed straight for the dark gold 3-headed bat king. Boom! A huge roar sounded. Under the attack of the circle of dark red ripples released by the dark gold 3-headed bat, the narrow road he was standing on was completely shattered, and countless rubble fell towards the abyss. However, Yu Tianming was not afraid of the narrow road being damaged, and instead pounced directly on the 3 dark gold bat kings. The dark gold 3-headed bat saw Yu Tianming's body shooting out from below and rushed straight towards it. It did not choose to fight head-on with Yu Tianming. Instead, it stretched its huge wings to both sides of its body and briefly stagnated in mid-air. Seeing Yu Tianming flying towards him, its leftmost head suddenly emitted a layer of golden light waves, which did not act on the opponent, but on himself. The next moment, accompanied by a thick layer of golden smoke, the huge body of the dark gold 3-headed bat suddenly exploded and turned into hundreds of small golden bats flying in all directions. Yu Tianming could only use his wings to smash several little golden bats that had no time to leave. Chapter 63. Looking at the bats that had scattered in all directions, with most of them escaping into the distance, Yu Tianming's face darkened, and he stepped on the narrow road that was not broken. He did not pursue, and the 3 throats of the dragon shape slowly lit up with golden light. At this time, the little bats formed by the dark gold 3-headed bat king had already opened a distance of hundreds of meters. They gathered together and began to emit a golden mist. With a bang, the little golden bat reunited and transformed into the dark gold 3-headed bat king again. The bat swarm, which was originally like locusts passing through the border, had been slaughtered by Yu Tianming and was sparsely hovering 100 meters away from him. Seeing so many casualties among his younger brothers, the dark gold 3-headed bat king was also angered. 3 heads and 6 small eyes stared at Yu Tianming fiercely. Strange screams continued to sound from the 3 heads of the dark gold 3-headed bat king at the same time. Yu Tianming's expression changed, and he thought to himself, it must be about to use some powerful skill. He had been corroded by the red light emitted by Tang Chen during the teleportation, and was unable to exert his full strength. If this was the 3-headed bat king's amplification skill, and it was allowed to complete the amplification, it would be difficult for him to handle it. Yu Tianming knew that this guy had the ability to swallow other blood bats and regenerate. Only by having its 3 heads broken at the same time so that it cannot swallow other blood bats can this problem be completely solved. As his mind was spinning, the screams of the dark gold 3-headed bat king became louder and louder, and the light on his body became more and more dazzling. The reason why the dark gold 3-headed bat king pulled away before starting to release his skills was that his body was obviously not in the best defensive state during the process of chanting the spell, and now was the best time to defeat it. Yu Tianming did not hesitate, opened the 3 dragon mouths, and instantly released the long-stored electric energy. With the assistance of the electromagnetic induction aiming aid and ballistic corrector, 3 golden beams of electric light 100 meters apart accurately hit the head of the dark gold three-headed Bat King. Boom! There was no suspense. The dark gold three-headed Bat King couldn't even scream, and the 3 bat heads exploded at the same time. A large amount of golden blood flew in all directions, and all the blood bats around him that were splashed by the golden liquid perished in screams. As soon as the dark gold three-headed Bat King died, the other blood bats suddenly became leaderless and rushed towards Yu Tianming with almost vengeful madness. However, when an army has no leader, it not only loses morale, but also loses the brain to command. Although the number of remaining blood bats is still considerable, it is difficult for them to pose any threat to Yu Tianming. Seeing the numerous bats attacking, Yu Tianming directly released golden lightning all over his body. Blood bats kept coming, but when they entered the electric light, they were like a swarm of mosquitoes that encountered an electric mosquito lamp. With a crackling sound, they all fell into the blood pool. When the last bat fell into the blood pool, everything around him became quiet again. Using electric current to kill so many bats, even Yu Tianming, who had a lot of soul power, showed a look of fatigue on his face. In order to deal with the threat behind the road to hell, Yu Tianming reluctantly sat on the narrow road and adjusted his breathing. Yu Tianming meditates every day. As soon as he sat down, he immediately entered a state of cultivation and quietly restored his physical strength. Of course, his mind was not completely immersed in it, but his electromagnetic induction was left to be alert to everything that might happen around him. Half an hour later, Yu Tianming opened his eyes, took out the food and water carried in the soul guide and ate some briefly. Before coming to the killing city, Yu Tianming stored 5 cubic meters of dry food and 5 cubic meters of water in the storage ring in order not to eat the food provided by the killing capital. If a normal person drinks 1,500 ml of water a day, he will only consume 1 cubic meter of water in 2 years. However, Yu Tianming is tall and has been fighting fiercely. Even if he has not taken a shower for 2 years, the water in the storage ring is already less than 1 cubic meter. Cube. The originally wide variety of dry food had already made me feel nauseated. But in order to replenish energy, Yu Tianming still resisted nausea and ate until he was 3/3 full. After eating, he got up again and continued moving forward. Moving forward again, Yu Tianming's speed increased again. As he ran all the way, the air began to get hotter and hotter. Gradually, the dark red flowing under the abyss on both sides began to be visible with the naked eye. If an ordinary person breathes this hot air, he will definitely feel a burning pain in his lungs. But for Yu Tianming, who had undergone ice and fire refining, this temperature could not have the slightest impact on him. Yu Tianming ran, and Yu Tianming sensed the enemy in the distance. It was a strange snake with fiery red eyes, and its dark red body was crawling on the narrow road ahead. Its eyes are not particularly huge, but the brilliance in their eyes is even more terrifying than the previous dark gold three-headed Bat King. There are a total of 9 protrusions on the head and back of this snake. Each protrusion is like a bright red mushroom, and it is translucent as if there is blood flowing inside. The snake's belly was particularly huge, bulging on the narrow road, and its length was at least more than 10 meters. Undoubtedly, these were the 10-headed blazing sun snakes that Tang San encountered. Decades before Tang San and the others passed the road to hell, Bibi Dong and Tang Hao had already passed the road to hell twice. According to the temperaments of these two people, if there were really 3 Bat Kings and 10 sun snakes blocking the way, they would have been beaten to pieces by these 2 killing gods. Now these 2 monsters have all appeared on Yu Tianming's only path. It's easy to say that the 3-headed Bat Kings may be the descendants of the 9-headed Bat Kings that parasitized Tang Chen. There may be more than one. Even if there is only one 3-headed Bat King, this gregarious soul beast is like blue-silver grass. After the blue-silver emperor dies, other blue-silver grass with advanced cultivation can be promoted to the throne, and even after the death of a Bat King, there are other blood bats who have been promoted to the 3-headed Bat King. But the 10-headed fierce sun snake is different. It is a rare and primitive species. How could it exist in large numbers on the road to hell? Even if it existed, with the temperaments of Bibi Dong and Tang Hao, why wouldn't they tell Tang San and Hu Lina about the monsters they would encounter on the road? Yu Tianming couldn't help but think, could it be that his performance in the killing city was so outstanding that his 3-in-1 hexagonal warrior of mage, warrior, and tank attracted the attention of the king of killing? His battles were not as flashy as those of Tang San and Hu Lina, most of them were resolved within a few breaths. On the surface, it seems that his sense of oppression and combat effectiveness are indeed far superior to those of the two. So when he was walking the road to hell alone, Killing Hard arranged the treatment for Tang San and Hu Lina. Isn't this making things difficult for me, Yu Tianming? Chapter 64. But the 10-headed blazing sun snake was entrenched in front of him. If he wanted to get around this snake without being discovered by it, he would have to fly a long way. And it is possible to encounter other soul beasts far away from the road to hell. By then, he can only fly in the air with the help of his wings, and the battle without a foothold will be even more dangerous. It's better to kill 10 blazing sun snakes on the road to hell. If you get the inner elixir, it won't be in vain. The 10-headed blazing sun snake is not a soul beast that belongs to this world. It is a strange beast from ancient times, extremely poisonous, possessing the most powerful fire poison among snakes. It can be cultivated for thousands of years to become an inner elixir hidden in the 9 heads behind its back. When the inner elixir comes out, the sky and the earth become pale. If you get the inner elixir, all the snakes will be able to change. It is the supreme among snakes. The advantage of the inner elixir is that it can invalidate any snake venom, restrain all snakes, and can be used as a spirit ring. Thinking of this, Yu Tianming continued to run in the direction of the 10-headed blazing sun snake. Not long after, Yu Tianming saw the strange snake. Of course, the strange snake obviously saw him too. The 10-headed sun snake crawling on the narrow road slowly raised its tongue, and a pair of golden red eyes suddenly became as bright as a lantern. With the sound of rustling, the dark red snake began to slowly swim forward. The strange snake continued to swim forward, and invisible pressure filled the air. From 100 meters away, the strange snake made a croaking sound from its mouth, like a baby crying, and the 9 sarcomas on its back began to emit a golden red brilliance. Gwa! When one person and one snake were 20 meters apart, the strange snake took the lead in launching an attack. A fiery red light suddenly spurted out from its mouth, carrying a strong fishy smell, and quickly spread towards Yu Tianming. And this flame actually came from close to the ground and spread quickly from the narrow road. But in this situation, it would be impossible for an ordinary soul master to dodge on the road to hell. The fiery red light fluctuated violently on the narrow road, and even made the crackling sound of burning rocks. What is even more terrifying is that this fiery red light is also accompanied by a faint layer of red mist. You don't need to ask to know that there must be something inside this red mist. Contains strong toxins. If Tang San saw it, wouldn't he spill the realgar and wine, like restraining Duguyan's snake venom, to easily dissolve the poison? But Yu Tianming neither had realgar wine, nor knew that realgar liquor could only drive away snakes, allowing them to smell the unpleasant smell and leave without any detoxification effect. Even if there was realgar on his body, Yu Tianming didn't dare to bet on whether this thing could restrain snakes in Douluo. He took a deep breath, stayed calm, suppressed his desire to kill, spread his wings and kicked off the ground. Since one person and one snake were not far apart, Yu Tianming almost half jumped and half glided, and instantly reached the heads of the 10-headed blazing sun snakes. Although this guy was huge, his reaction speed was not slow. He opened his huge mouth, revealing several rows of sharp teeth, raised his head and bit upwards. Seeing this, Yu Tianming was extremely happy. He held his breath and flew directly towards the big mouth of the 10-headed blazing sun snake. Put your feet on the lower jaw and support the upper jaw with both hands, just enough to stretch the snake's mouth to the maximum. When the 10-headed blazing sun snake saw someone actually put it into its mouth, a trace of human joy showed in its huge eyes, and deep red fire began to glow from the depths of its throat. After the intense fire, it was quite hot near Shekhao, and a sweet red mist filled the surrounding area. The environment is quite harsh. If Hulina does this again, she will lose her combat effectiveness on the spot. But Yu Tianming absorbed the ice and fire immortal grass, and his fire and poison resistance were full. He was even more delighted when he saw the fire in the mouths of the 10-headed blazing sun snakes, and the 3 dragon heads spewed out at the same time. One head spits fire, the other spits thunder, and the other blows wind. The wind assisted the fire, and the flames of the ultimate fire instantly swept through the mouths of the 10-headed sun snakes, rushing toward the red light deep in their throats. The golden lightning wreaks havoc in its extremely fire-resistant mouth. The 10 flaming snakes were in pain and spit out the flames deep in their throats. Although Yu Tianming's faucet is small, it spits out the ultimate fire and ultimate wind. Although the 10-headed flaming snakes are big, they only have a lot of smelly and poisonous fire. 2 flames, one bright red and the other deep red, collided in its throat, refusing to give way to each other. The golden red eyes finally showed fear, and the 9 golden red tumors on the back of the giant snake became brighter and brighter. Croak, 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 it seemed to be screaming angrily from its belly. The body was arched on the narrow road, and the 9 sarcoids were completely aligned in the direction of Yu Tianming. Suddenly, all the tumors shattered at the same time, and 9 streaks of golden red liquid suddenly shot out. The liquid did not shoot directly in the air, but shot towards the top in front of Yu Tianming. 9 streams of liquid merged into one in the air and suddenly paused above Yu Tianming's head. All the liquid contracted at the same time and turned into a golden red ball only the size of a fist. Then it drew an arc, bypassed the upper lip of the giant snake, and hit Yu Tianming's back. Although Yu Tianming is in Shekao, he always has electromagnetic induction to observe his surroundings. Seeing the golden elixir condensed, Yu Tianming immediately stopped spitting and rolled into the giant snake's throat. The scales on his body collided with the giant teeth of the 10-headed blazing sun snakes, making a ding-dong sound like a metal. Without the suppression of Yu Tianming's flames, the poisonous fire of the giant snake rushed out instantly and enveloped Yu Tianming. But he ignored the poisonous fire and bent down to stop at the end of his mouth, less than a foot away from his throat. The hands were folded into palms, and the sharp dragon claws condensed with the ultimate wind were thrust upwards in an instant. Yu Tianming is in the blue electric Tyrannosaurus sect, and all the blue electric Tyrannosaurus can only hunt sub-dragon-type soul beasts. The most hunted sub-dragon soul beasts, such as the phoenix-tailed crested snake, all have a snake-like appearance. Therefore, Yu Tianming is not ignorant of the weaknesses of snakes. The place he attacked was the weak point under the snake's brain that had no bone to block it. After releasing the inner elixir, the defense power of the 10-headed blazing sun snake has been greatly reduced. How can it block the domineering blow from Yu Tianming's dragon-shaped fingertip at its weak point? After the 10-headed fierce sun snake sensed that its life was in danger, its inner elixir moved extremely fast. Yu Tianming's dragon claw was like a hot knife cutting butter. When it inserted into the head of the 10-headed blazing sun snake, the golden red inner elixir also hit Yu Tianming's back. Under the attack of the inner elixir, Yu Tianming's dragon-shaped scales shattered inch by inch, and the inner elixir was directly embedded in the flesh. The 10-headed blazing sun snake, whose mind was being messed up by the dragon's claws, lost its luster when it was hit by the inner elixir. Its huge body struggled for a moment, and then rested loosely on the narrow road. Because its belly was arched and the golden elixir was shot out, the snake's unstable center of gravity began to slide towards the abyss. Yu Tianming endured the severe pain in his back, quickly opened the snake's mouth and crawled outside. Chapter 65. Like the python, the 10-headed blazing sun snake has several rows of fangs in its mouth, and the fangs are all hooked inwards. It's easy for Yu Tianming to roll in, but if he wants to get out, he has to be blocked by his fangs. He could only open his mouth while slowly moving outward. If the body is weak, it will be cut into pieces by these sharp teeth within a few steps. Even so, the legs that were not transformed into dragons were also scratched by barbs with deep wounds visible to the bones. The dead 10-headed blazing sun snake slid down very quickly, and its body was pulled by its fat belly, and it quickly slid into the abyss with the jade Tianming in its mouth. After 2 breaths, Yu Tianming opened his huge wings, flew up unsteadily, and fell down on the road to hell, breathing heavily. At this time, he was wearing the standard robe of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, with only a few rags hanging on his body. Golden red blood dripped from his back and legs. After finding a resting position, Yu Tianming exerted force on his back, and under the squeeze of his muscles, a ball of golden red light burst out from behind. Pulled by the blue breeze, it slowly flew into the palm of my hand. What Yu Tianming got was undoubtedly the inner elixir of the 10-headed blazing sun snake, a 50,000 to 100,000 year soul ring that could be carried around. After getting the inner elixir, my tense spirit suddenly relaxed and I breathed a long sigh of relief. His process of obtaining the inner elixir was much more dangerous than Tang San's. Tang San had the mental power of the wisdom skull and the purple demonic eyes. He could use the gap of the moment before the inner elixir's attack exploded to cut off the connection between the 10-headed blazing sun snake itself and the inner elixir. Connections between. But Yu Tianming could only sacrifice his life to attack and force out the inner elixir of the 10-headed fierce sun snake. And he also had to kill the 10-headed blazing sun snake before it could kill him with his inner elixir. You must know that Ma Hongjun's 7th spirit ring comes from the 10-headed fierce yang snake inner alchemy. With Tang San and others' assistance for a day, he could barely absorb the energy of the inner elixir. Aside from the fact that the energy is more explosive, the inner elixir contains more energy. The energy contained in this inner elixir has obviously far exceeded the 50,000 year limit of the 7th soul ring set by Yu Xiaogang. Facing such a powerful ancient beast, if you move a little slowly, you will definitely be penetrated by the inner elixir and suffer serious injuries. If the 10-headed sun snake is as its name suggests, and the 9 mushroom-shaped bulges on its back are really the other 9 heads, and can also think on behalf of the brain, this battle will be even more dangerous. After thinking about the danger, Yu Tianming, who was used to seeing death in the hell-killing fields, broke out in a cold sweat. In just a few breaths, the injury on Yu Tianming's leg stopped bleeding and returned to its original state. But a quarter of an hour later, Yu Tianming forced out the fire poison brought into the flesh by the inner elixir, and regenerated bright scales. After recovering as before, he began to speed up and run along the road to hell. As they advance, the surrounding temperature continues to rise, and the dark red liquid flowing in the abyss on both sides gradually becomes clearer from being vaguely visible. The terrain seemed to be going downwards. Yu Tianming didn't understand the real situation in the killing city. He could only vaguely guess that there was a mountain behind the town where he and his grandfather walked. Perhaps, the capital of killing is indeed not underground, but in the mountains. Such thoughts only flashed through his mind. At this time, it was more important for them to leave here as soon as possible. As for everything else, there will be time to judge in the future. After passing 2 levels in a row without any danger, his mentality became a little more relaxed and he kept moving forward at a fast pace. If this hell road only has 3 levels like what Hulina and Tang San encountered, then he only needs to pass the final test before he can leave this damn place. Therefore, as we moved forward, the burning sensation around us began to gradually increase. There seemed to be a special atmosphere in this hot air that made it difficult for him to adapt. This repressed feeling became more and more obvious deep in his heart as he gradually progressed, and his own murderous aura was released more unscrupulously. Anxiety gradually emerged. Yu Tianming did not have the authentic Taoist mental skills to control his emotions like Tang San did. As he became impatient, the murderous aura in his heart grew stronger and stronger. The burning heat around him seemed to stimulate every cell in his body, making everything in front of him no longer seem so clear. The burning heat from the outside world is the source of seducing the murderous energy in the body, but it cannot prevent the murderous energy from being released. Otherwise, it will inevitably be swallowed up by the terrifying evil energy on this hell road. Gradually, Yu Tianming understood a little bit. Ever since I entered this hell road, I have been affected by the aura of the hell road. Although murderous aura can block this evil aura, it cannot completely filter it. The longer you stay here, the deeper you will be affected by that evil aura. Once you are upset, you may never be able to get out. To pass this hell road, you not only have to have enough strength, but you also have to pass it in the shortest possible time. Fortunately, Yu Tianming flew all the way, and the time it took to adjust his breath was much shorter than Tang San's. Apart from Tang Chen's influence, his condition was pretty good. Thinking that there would be no more monsters ahead, Yu Tianming spread his wings and jumped up. Along the road to hell, fly forward at top speed. As he continued to move forward, he was gradually approaching the abyss. The evil atmosphere around him became stronger and stronger, the air became obviously hotter and hotter, and his vision became increasingly blurry. Even with Yu Tianming's electromagnetic induction, he could only see a distance of about a few thousand meters at most in the light red mist that filled the surrounding area. In the abyss on both sides of the narrow road, dark red liquid rolled and flowed. Yes, it was blood, but these liquids that smelled of blood had the temperature of magma. Now the murderous intent was surging in his heart, and the strong desire to kill everything around him continued to erode his spirit. Yu Tianming knew that if he didn't get out of here quickly, his spirit might collapse at any time under the influence of the road to hell. At this time, the dark red liquid on both sides was only about 50 meters away from the narrow road where he was, and the air was so hot that the clothes on Yu Tianming's body gave off a faint smell of burning. As for the scorching heat around him, it was just a joke to Yu Tianming. Even the temperature of the ice and fire ice couldn't affect him who had eaten fiery apricot jiaishu and star anise ice grass, let alone here. He fully understood what the final hurdle on the road to hell was. He is still a powerful enemy, but it is no longer an external object, but himself. My own inner demons. Under the influence of the huge evil aura, the hot evil plasma and the huge killing aura of oneself, how much perseverance is needed to persevere and walk out from here? Even a top genius like Hulina could not persist until the end. This is the most difficult level on the way out of hell. Chapter 66. Thinking of this, Yu Tianming couldn't help but secretly sigh at Tang San's luck. Tang San had a variety of abilities that could stabilize his mind, including the most fundamental Xiantian technique, the spiritually condensed wisdom skull, and the omnipotent blue-silver domain that blocked the influence of the road to hell. Fortunately, my luck is not bad either. Although there are no fancy methods such as Xiantian technique, wisdom skull, and blue-silver domain. But Ghidorah's special nervous system structure gives him mental resistance far beyond ordinary people. Even if he is immersed in the murderous aura of hell's killing fields, he can still remain calm and not lose control. He was able to maintain a certain level of combat effectiveness in the face of Tang Chen's murderous aura, evil aura, and the impact of the road to hell on his state of mind. In a flash of thought, electromagnetic induction could already see the magma ahead that was about to spread onto the narrow road. If, as Yu Tianming expected, as the temperature increases and the plasma on both sides rises, he will be not far from the exit. A quarter of an hour later, Yu Tianming, whose mind was constantly stimulated by the manic murderous aura, finally saw the exit. At this time, he was also sweating heavily. It's not because of the surrounding temperature, but because of the stimulation of the murderous aura. No matter how determined Yu Tianming is, under the influence of various negative effects, his spirit has reached its limit. At this moment, he saw the exit in the distance. The exit from the killing city is extremely obvious. Not far ahead, white light condensed into an oval-shaped light curtain, where Yu Tianming's trip ended. Although the exit appeared, there was no way forward. 1,000 meters away from the exit was a blood-red ocean. When the plasma reached here, it actually gathered into a small lake, blocking him in front of him, with bubbles surging in the plasma. The distance of 1,000 meters is like a gap that can never be crossed in front of us. There was no more attack from any creature, but the strongest evil energy contained here and the huge chasm of 1,000 meters wide in front of it became an almost insurmountable chasm. The spreading magma cannot trap him. What can affect him is the evil energy contained in front of him. Slowly closing his eyes, Yu Tianming took a deep breath, trying to calm down as much as possible. Then, he mobilized his mental power with all his strength, trying his best to control the murderous aura emitted by himself, forming a barrier against the evil aura, and at the same time, he restored his brain to a brief period of clarity. In the world of Douluo continent, there are two gods of evil thoughts. One is the Shura god who is in charge of killing, and the other is the Rakshasa god who is in charge of evil thoughts. The city of killing is the relic left behind when they transcended this world. The Asura god controls the purest killing energy, while the Rakshasa god controls the most evil power. When the Rakshasa god transcended this world, he changed the original form of the killing city. Let this place, which was originally just a place of killing the world, become a place of depravity and evil. At the same time, God Shura's spiritual thoughts were also contaminated with countless impurities in the process, leading to Tang Chen's loss. The bloody ocean in front of you is the place where the evil power of the killing city is strongest. Only by releasing the murderous energy with all your strength can you slightly resist the erosion of the evil energy. With his mind restored to clarity, Yu Tianming flew directly to the top of the black cave, about 200 meters away from the blood pool. The distance of 1,000 meters would only be reached in an instant by flying. In just a few breaths, he arrived in front of the white light screen. Yu Tianming suddenly discovered that the murderous aura around his body seemed to be pulled by a special force, inducing him to enter this light curtain. Looking back to take one last look at the hell road I just walked. Yu Tianming no longer thought about it, and with a whoosh, he rushed into the white light curtain. The moment he entered the white light curtain, he suddenly felt as if his body had entered a special world. There was a white void all around, and the martial spirit he released was restricted by a special force, and he was able to release the possession of the martial spirit without any resistance amidst the oppression. In this white world, I can't use any strength in my body. The only feeling is coldness. It seems as if countless winds and snows are condensing towards him, and countless cold temperatures are being released from his body. In this white nothingness, Yu Tianming could only bear the pain silently. The cold feeling that shouldn't have occurred still appeared, but this was not a real temperature change, but the chill brought by the murderous aura. The purest killing energy quickly invaded Yu Tianming's body, causing Yu Tianming to tremble uncontrollably. When the coldness gradually stiffened his heart, his consciousness began to quietly fade away along with his consciousness. At this time, Yu Tianming finally experienced the legend of the killing city. Yes, this is a field condensed by murderous aura. In the field, he is like a rootless duckweed, and can only passively accept the infusion of murderous aura. I don't know how much time passed, but when Yu Tianming woke up from the pain, he felt like he had a dream. At this time, he was in a dense mountain forest, surrounded by tall and lush trees. Tear off a few rags from your body and use the water from the storage ring to shower yourself from head to toe. Only then did Yu Tianming feel alive again. During the 2 years in the Killing City, he spent all his time in the waiting room and arena, either fighting or preparing to fight. As far as the eye can see, there is darkness and scarlet. What I eat is dry food, what I drink is clean water, and I can only use flames to burn the dirt on my body. Now that I have returned to this vast and colorful outside world, I can't help but feel a vague sense of unreality in my heart. After being slightly absent-minded, Yu Tianming put on the spare robe in the storage ring again. After possessing the spirit, he flew up and looked at the distant town in the sky. Suddenly, Yu Tianming seemed to notice something extra on his body. He took off his clothes and looked at the center of his chest. After being possessed by the martial spirit, there was a white line on it. Those lines look like the blood lines on the ground of the hell-killing fields when Hell Road is activated, except that they are much smaller and white. When Yu Tianming tried to feel the white lines, in an instant, a surging white light filled the air quietly, and the white light was released from the body, but soon, the white light turned colorless. And Yu Tianming's perception of the world around him immediately became different. Even the blue-silver grass on the roadside was trembling in this invisible air current. The realm of the god of death, is this the realm of the god of death? Yu Tianming knew that he should be happy, but he really couldn't be happy after just leaving a place like the Killing City. After finishing writing City of Killing, I can no longer follow the original work. Although Gongchen Gui has a bad character, bad writing skills, and the emotional scenes are extremely embarrassing, he is really good at writing, and he can turn a few sentences over and over to complete a whole chapter. I really admire him in this regard. Chapter 67. The 2 years of hell-like training had a huge impact on his entire state of mind. Although he had been trying hard to resist the influence of the murderous aura, at this time, Yu Tianming not only looked pale, but also showed an unconcealable evil aura between his brows. Yu Tianming breathed a long sigh of relief and thought silently in his heart, the third soul skill, Thunder Flame Scale Armor. The purple third soul ring flickered, and the dragon-like scales around him were dyed with a golden red color. The red light released by Tang Chen has been lingering around his body for a long time, and the murderous and evil aura in it has been eroding his spirit. This erosion position does not have the personality of a god, and Tang San's blue-silver domain can easily remove it. However, soul skills cannot be used in the Killing City. It is not until he returns to the outside world that the influence of this red light is quickly purified by the third soul skill. After getting rid of the murderous aura, Yu Tianming's pale complexion became a little rosy. He spread out his huge wings that were more than 10 meters long, flapped them slightly, and hovered in the sky with the blessing of the wind attribute. After walking out of the Killing City, Yu Tianming did not fly into the distance like a bird leaving its cage. Instead, he just stopped in the sky and silently looked at the town not far away. At this time, Douluo, who was basking in the sun on the Taishi's chair, felt an incredible murderous aura coming from not far away from the town. Douluo, whose white beard and hair had turned black, immediately jumped up like a young man. The green soul power around him enveloped him, and his whole body turned into a green light, piercing the sky and heading straight for Yu Tianming. The two were not far apart. As a titled Douluo, Douluo was also surprisingly fast. In an instant, he had covered dozens of miles and was flying close to Yu Tianming. At this time, Yu Tianming, who had been in the Killing City for 2 years and was already 13 years old, was nearing the end of his height development. He is now close to Yu Yuanzhen in height, a little over 2 meters tall. After being possessed by Wuhan, he has become one size larger. Douluo was as slender as a javelin, with a height of 1.9 meters, but he was obviously smaller than Yu Tianming, who was possessed by the martial spirit. Nowadays, Yu Tianming's temperament has changed drastically. If it weren't for the iconic 3 dragon heads and huge wings, Douluo would not be able to recognize him at all. Tianming, I haven't seen you for 2 years, but you have grown so tall, and you are quite as powerful as the sect master. The sect master will definitely be very happy to see you like you are now. Senior Douluo, why are you waiting for me here? During the 2 years in the Killing City, Yu Tianming either killed or was on the way to killing without communicating with anyone. Now that I saw Douluo who was able to communicate, he was a little excited, but he still stumbled a bit when speaking. I have nothing to do in the sect on weekdays. The sect leader was worried that you would be in danger when you left the Killing City, so he assigned me to wait here for you. For 2 years, I have been waiting for you. In these 2 years, Yan Yanke has been worried about you. Hearing that someone was worried about him, Yu Tianming couldn't help but show a stiff smile. Yan must have improved his soul power a lot in the past 2 years. Yan is about to become the soul sect. Tianxin, Tianheng, and the others have made great progress in the past 2 years. I won't tell you their specific levels. You can see their current status with your own eyes when you return to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect's strength. Mentioning Duguyan, the poisoned Douluo who was feared in the Soul Master world, Dugubo stroked his beard and showed a gentle smile. An old man and a young man have not seen each other for 2 years, and have experienced 2 years of loneliness. They have thousands of words in their hearts that they want to talk about. So the two of them were talking while slowly flying towards the direction of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Dugubo seemed to have remembered something, and suddenly asked, "What is the effect of your god of killing domain?" "In my realm of the god of death, the momentum and pressure created by murderous intent often prevent the opponent from exerting his full strength, while my own strength can be exerted far beyond normal." Hearing this, Dugubo nodded thoughtfully. He had also heard the story of Tang Hao, the youngest titled Douluo. It was said that he could defeat the Pope and the 4 platinum bishops led by him alone. His record was terrifying. After Dugubo joined the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, he learned that the reason why Tang Hao was so powerful was because of his complete set of soul bones, his 100,000-year soul ring, and his skills in the field of god of death. After hearing about Yu Tianming's god of killing domain, he couldn't help but ask, "Compared to Haoshan Douluo, your killing god domain is stronger or weaker?" "I am just in the basic god of killing domain. In the domain, my opponent's strength is weakened by 10%, and I can exert 110% of my power. Haoshan Douluo has a high level of cultivation, and the domain is natural, it's stronger than mine, and the ratio of increase and decrease must be much higher." Dugubo said with a smile, "Now after the battle between Haoshan Douluo and Wuhan Palace, we don't know whether we are alive or dead. Even if we are alive, we don't know where we will shrink. Tianming, you are only 13 years old, and you have a bright future. Sooner or later you will surpass Tang Hao." Hearing this, Yu Tianming nodded and acquiesced to this statement. It wasn't that he was blindly arrogant, but that Tang Hao, who was now semi-crippled, really couldn't pose much of a threat to him, but Tang San might have a chance to threaten him in the future. But now he had all the celestial herbs of the ice and fire eyes in his pocket, cutting off Tang San's greatest opportunity. Tang San had to be 19 years old to obtain the killing god domain when he was 13 years old, even if he took the fairy grass. Now that there is no fairy grass, if he also steals his damn soul bone, when will Tang San be able to pass through the killing city? Not to mention Yu Xiaogang, the master, has been guiding Tang San for several years. If he takes away the vast sea universe shield again, how will Tang San, who has failed in training, make a comeback? When Dugubo saw that Yu Tianming was silent, he smiled again and said, 2 years have passed since Tianming, and the soul power level must have reached level 60, close to the Soul Emperor cultivation level, right? No, there is a strange aura in the killing city that can affect the spirit. I have only improved 2 levels in the past 2 years. Now I am only level 55, and I am still a soul king. In the 1,000 years since Douluo continent, I have never seen a 13-year-old soul king. Even if he has stabilized his cultivation in the past 2 years, he is also known as the #1 genius in the world." Yu Tianming smiled and said nothing. According to the theory put forward by Yu Xiaogang, the maximum lifespan of the 5th soul ring is 12,000 years, and the lifespan of the 6th soul ring is only 20,000 years. 2 years ago, after he absorbed a 30,000-year-old dragon soul ring, even though it had extreme attributes and needed more soul power to upgrade, he was directly promoted to level 53. Now at level 55, Yu Tianming has the blessing of the killing god domain, and his combat power is already extraordinary and comparable to that of an ordinary soul king. He has entered the world of the strong. I have understood the essence of Shuangguan. Chapter 68. Yu Tianming and Dugubo headed south. From the north of the Tiandu Empire, to the Silvis Kingdom, and then to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. The air becomes warmer and the yellow grasslands on the earth gradually turn into dense forests. More than half a month later, the two finally arrived at Longji City. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect is located in the east of the mainland, at the junction of the two empires. The sect has mountains on its back, and a long river in front of it flows from the Star Forest in the center of the continent to the sea. The terrain between the sect and the Changhe River is flat. Many businessmen come and go in front of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Over time, a town is formed. Over time, the town turns into a city. This is the residence of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Longji City. Due to the terrain, if you want to enter the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, you must pass through Longji City unless you climb many mountains. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the two of them arrived at Longji City. At this time, you can avoid the scorching sun at noon, and it is not like having to rely on lights for lighting at night. The bustling crowds were coming and going in the city, and the cries of street vendors were everywhere. It was so lively. In order to hide his identity, Yu Tianming wore a large burqa so that no one could tell his appearance. However, the murderous intention that could not be completely restrained was spread around, giving passers-by an inexplicable chill in their hearts. Seeing the murderous Yu Tianming, passers-by all moved out of the way, and the shouts of the street vendors stopped abruptly. Wherever he passed, the bustling market was as silent as a ghost. It wasn't until the two of them walked away that the streets resumed their hustle and bustle. A fat and big-eared merchant asked a melon and fruit vendor, "That big man is so vicious. He doesn't look like a good person at first glance. Why don't the spirit masters around him take care of him?" "What you don't know is that the old man is wearing the uniform of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. I don't think he will let that strong man do whatever he wants. Moreover, he is just fierce and has not hurt anyone. How could anyone stop him? That's just me being superficial." The two of them walked straight and soon arrived in front of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. The guard in front of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect recognized Douluo. Although he felt that Yu Tianming on the side had a ferocious aura, he did not ask any more questions and simply let the two of them pass. Walk all the way up the stairs. It was unknown whether it was because of the intimidating power of Douluo's titled Douluo or the bone-chilling murderous intent in Yu Tianming's body, but the disciples who passed by avoided the two of them. Yu Tianming couldn't help but joked, "It seems that Senior Douluo has a lot of intimidation power in the sect. When this sect disciple sees Senior, it is like seeing a 10,000-year soul beast." Hearing this, Douluo glared, a little unhappy, "The disciples of the sect have always respected me, they were just frightened by your murderous intention, and you actually blamed me." While they were talking and laughing, a tall old man in a blue robe quietly appeared on the steps in front of the two of them. Yu Tianming, who possesses electromagnetic induction, was the first to be surprised. Realizing that it was Yu Yuanzhen whom he hadn't seen for 2 years, he hurriedly stepped forward. Since awakening his martial spirit, Yu Tianming has spent most of his time with Yu Yuanzhen. Yu Yuanzhen not only regarded him as the hope of the future of the sect, but also regarded the precocious Yu Tianming as his closest relative. In Yu Yuanzhen's heart, although Yu Tianming is the grandson of his third brother, he is no different from his own grandson. Years of companionship and care made Yu Tianming know that Yu Yuanzhen treated him better than his eldest grandson Yu Tianheng. Tang Sunen had no gratitude for village chief Jack who had taken care of him for many years, but Yu Tianming had regarded Yu Yuanzhen as the closest person to him in this world. He hugged the tall old man and said with tears, "Grandpa, I'm back. 2 years of separation, 2 years of worry, and now I see Yu Tianming again." This old man who has dominated the Douluo continent for half his life also became very excited. Yu Yuanzhen's eyes were also red, and he patted Yu Tianming's shoulder, "It's good to be back safely. I've grown a lot after not seeing you for 2 years, and I'm almost as tall as Grandpa." After a while, Yu Yuanzhen calmed down a little, and his expression became serious. "Tianming, the murderous aura in you is too unbridled. I can sense the murderous aura leaking from you in the sect. If so, how can you hide yourself in the world of soul masters?" Hearing this, Yu Tianming was silent for a moment and said, "I plan to concentrate on practicing within the sect, and while improving my cultivation, I will slowly temper this uncontrollable murderous intention. It's too slow to get used to it slowly, and it's a waste of your training time. Do you know how Haoshan Douluo eliminated the residual murderous intention in the killing city back then? Does he have any special way to temper his murderous intention?" Yu Tianming only knew that Tang Yuehua helped Tang San eliminate the murderous intention. The original work did not mention how Tang Hao eliminated the murderous intention. Yu Yuanzhen's words aroused his curiosity. Tang Hao has a sister named Tang Yuehua. Like Xiao Gang, she has a mutated martial soul, and her innate soul power is extremely low. But the difference is that although Tang Yuehua is only at level 9 so far, she has a talent field, the Noble Circle. Ring. Talent field, Noble Circle. Although Yu Tianming had already guessed it, he still pretended to be curious to Yu Yuanzhen. "That's right, domain soul skills are also called top soul skills. Generally speaking, Domain soul skills can only appear when the soul master reaches the realm of titled Douluo, the 9th soul skill, and the probability of occurrence is only 1/10. Yu Yuanzhen looked at Yu Tianming again. Except for the domain soul skills obtained from the 9th soul skill, they will only appear in the talent skills of the martial soul like her. And in the past 1,000 years, there have been few people who have passed the test like you. The killing city gains the killing god domain. Yu Tianming seemed to understand something and couldn't wait to ask, what effect does Tang Yuehua's talent field have? Unlike your killing god domain, Tang Yuehua's noble circle has no offensive power, but it has the effect of purifying the soul. Could it be that this was where Tang Hao washed away the murderous aura from her back then? Because Tang Yuehua and Xiao Gang are both mutated waste martial souls, I met her specifically decades ago. I'm not sure if Tang Hao washed away the murderous aura from her, but I'm sure that the noble circle is definitely help you curb your murderous intent. While chatting, the three of them walked to Yu Yuanzhen's residence. At this time, a girl wearing the uniform of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect was waiting eagerly at the door of the sect leader's mansion. Duguyan does not look like the primary school student she first met 3 years ago. Although she is only 10 years old, she has already acquired the appearance of a cardamom after absorbing several soul rings. Wearing the blue outfit of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, she has a slender figure, and the waistband outlines her waist in a beautiful arc. Chapter 69. Duguyan, who has taken Narcissus jade muscle and bone, has skin that is as good as snow, and his cheeks are as white as snow and slightly red, and are as moist as jade. Although she is still young, she already has a beauty that will captivate the entire country. When she saw Yu Tianming, who was much taller but whose aura had become colder, she didn't dare to recognize him. She just leaned her slender body against the door and moved her green-white jade fingers, but stopped talking. In the distance, Yu Yuanzhen said to Yu Tianming with a smile on his face, "After I sensed your aura, I sent someone to notify Yanyan, Tianxin and Tianheng to wait for you in the house. Maybe Yanyan was anxious, so he run outside." The three of them walked up to Duguyan. When Dugubo saw his granddaughter, his gloomy old face became kind, and he whispered, "Why did Yanyan see the dawn and become speechless?" Duguyan didn't reply, but looked straight at Yu Tianming. Seeing this, Yu Tianming took the initiative to step forward and said with a smile, "We haven't seen each other for 2 years. Doesn't Yanyan recognize me, or is the murderous aura in my body frightening Yanyan?" Duguyan did not answer, but hugged Yu Tianming's forearm and burst into tears. "I thought you would never come back, and then I would never see you again." Yu Tianming patted her head and said gently and jokingly, "Am I back now? If I don't come back, you don't have to pay back the betrothal gift that Grandpa gave you." Duguyan now is not as carefree as in the original work. Although she has met many people in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect in the past few years and broadened her horizons, she is still very shy when facing the people she likes. Seeing Yu Tianming once again mention the betrothal gift given by Yu Yuanzhen, 2 soul bones, she immediately blushed with embarrassment, stopped crying, held Yu Tianming's arm and fell silent. As if they heard the noise outside, 2 men in blue walked out of the sect leader's mansion. The 2 of them are similar in 3 respects. They are both tall and have strong features. One is about 1.9 meters tall and the other is close to 1.8 meters tall. It is Yu Tianxin, who is 13 years old, and Yu Tianheng, who has just turned 11 years old. When Yu Tianheng saw Yu Tianming, he hurriedly walked forward, "Brother Tianming, I haven't seen you in 2 years. You have changed so much. You are almost as tall as Grandpa. And you still have this cold. The temperament shocked me." Seeing this, Yu Tianming smiled gently, "Although my temperament has changed a lot, it won't be long before I return to my usual self." Yu Tianxin's pace was a little slower, and she walked in front of everyone 1 step behind Yu Tianheng. He looked at Yu Tianming, whose arm was being supported by Duguyan, and laughed jokingly. "I thought Yanzi felt the room was too stuffy and wanted to go out for some fresh air." Unexpectedly, he went out secretly and waited for you alone in the morning. Yu Tianming didn't know how to respond, so he just changed the topic. "It seems that Tianxin's soul power level has improved a lot. I'm afraid he will break through to the Soul King in a few years." Hearing this, Yu Tianxin put away her joking smile and said slightly bitterly, "I only have level 45 soul power now, which is still far behind the Soul King. Compared with others, I am considered a genius. But I am afraid that compared with you, Tianming, the gap will become wider and wider. Then you overestimate me." I have only increased my soul power by 2 levels in the past 2 years, which is not much different from Tianxin Yu. Yu Tianxin showed a surprised look. Now is a great time to practice. Why did you go to practice for the past 2 years? Isn't this a waste of precious practice time? Faced with this problem, Yu Tianming smiled and said nothing. You know, the 8.5-year-old Yu Tianming was only level 23, but in just 2.5 years, he absorbed a lot of fairy grass and absorbed 3 soul rings beyond the limit, reaching level 50 at the age of 11. As Yu Tianxin said, it was the time when he could improve his cultivation the fastest, but he had a reason to go there at this time. Now that he has entered the middle and late stages of cultivation, his cultivation speed has slowed down at this time, and he just like Tang San to go to the Killing City to obtain the Killing God domain and improve his combat effectiveness. Going to the Killing City was also a good time to consolidate his cultivation that had surged in the past 2.5 years and smooth out his shortcomings of lack of combat experience. On top of that, he had more important things to do in the years to come. Then there will be no chance to go to the Killing City. Thoughts were spinning in his heart, but Yu Tianming changed the subject and said to Yu Tianxin and Yu Tianheng, the place I went to this time is more suitable for soul masters with the blue lightning tyrant dragon spirit. You can also give it a try. Both of them are the successors of the blue lightning overlord sect behind Yu Tianming, and they already know where the Killing City is. After hearing this, they all shook their heads quickly. Forget it, with our strength, going there wouldn't be the same as seeking death. After the blue electric Tyrannosaurus can transform into a dragon, it does not gain passive amplification like Ghidorah. Instead, it gains a dragon transformation soul skill for each part it transforms into. This dragon transformation soul skill cannot be used in the Killing City. The advantage of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus over ordinary beast spirits is that after transforming into a dragon, it acquires a deeper level of animal transformation. This is just physical strength, stronger than ordinary soul masters, not an overwhelming advantage. The Haoshan sect has many self-created soul skills, such as the Great Zamura Hammer, Haoshan Ninju, Chaotic Wind Hammer Technique, etc. Unlike the Dragon Transformation soul skill of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, which can be used in the Killing City, on the contrary more advantages. I'm not asking you to go now. When you reach the Soul Saint stage and can transform into a dragon all over your body and have a few soul bones in your body, you will be in a suitable position to go and pass through the Killing City easily. Yu Tianming thought to himself, by the time they reach level 70, he will be almost a Douluo. Even if they can't pass, he can go in and fish for people. Wouldn't it be nice? Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen's eyes flashed and he murmured. If Tianxin and Tianheng both obtain the realm of killing gods, wouldn't the Blue Lightning Overlord sect be able to kill 3 gods in one sect? In a few years, as the children's cultivation becomes stronger, wouldn't the Blue Lightning Overlord sect be able to achieve a level far superior to that of Haoshan back then? The 3 blue and lightning heroes of Gemini. Dugubo also echoed, 13-year-old Tianxin is level 45, Tianheng and Yanyan are both level 36. In a few decades, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect will have 4 more titled Douluo. There are only more than 10 in total in the world. A titled Douluo, if so our sect will account for less than half of the total. On the surface, there are only a dozen titled Douluo, but secretly I don't know how many are hidden. However, if they all become Super Douluo in the morning, the Blue Lightning Overlord sect can also be regarded as the only one in the Douluo continent. The 2 old men talked more and more outrageously, as if the Blue Lightning Overlord sect was now at the top of the world. Yu Tianming couldn't help but interrupt, Grandpa, when will we go to Tiandu City to visit Yuexuan? Chapter 70. We can go to Yuexuan at any time, but we cannot expose the source of murderous aura in you and find some excuse to hide the truth that you passed through the Killing City. It is claimed to the outside world that the mutation of my martial soul affects my Xingxing, and I need the noble realm to stabilize my Xingxing. As for Tang Yuehua, who understands the Killing God realm, we only need to ensure that she does not talk nonsense to the outside world. Yu Yuanzhen put his hands on his hands and smiled and said, yes, yes, on the one hand, you can hide the news that you have obtained the Killing God realm, and on the other hand, you can show weakness to the outside world, so as not to make others jealous because of your innate soul power. A few days later, Tiandu City. Yu Yuanzhen Yu Tianming, the 2 of them arrived at Lanba Academy first. Different from 3 years ago, this time, Lu Erlong did not wait in his thatched house, but went out to greet them in person and took the 2 of them to the reception room. Lu Erlong looked at Yu Yuanzhen with a smile on his face, Uncle, I didn't know you were coming. I didn't prepare in advance and I didn't entertain you well. Please forgive me. Yu Yuanzhen also knew Lu Erlong's temper, but he never thought that her attitude would change so much after not seeing her for 2 years. She just felt that she had a sense of belonging to the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family, and she sat happily on the huge chair and laughed. His cultivation level has reached level 97. He is tall and has a loud voice. Although he didn't laugh out loud, his laughter was still as penetrating as Hongzong Dalu's. They are all members of our family, so there is no need to say these polite words. But Erlong, you have been running Lanba Academy for several years and have paid a lot for the section. Seeing Yu Yuanzhen was happy and satisfied. Lu Erlong, who was originally like a royal concubine in palace attire, with a cold and questioning look, now managed to squeeze out a somewhat flattering smile. If Flanders were present, he would be surprised. Erlong, a female Tyrannosaurus, usually has a very hot temper, how could she smile so flatteringly now? Lu Erlong said, the Soul Master competition will be held next year. With Azhu and Azi from our Blue Lightning Overlord sect, these talented students, our Blue Overlord Academy has a great chance of entering the top 8. Feeling that the tone of his words was wrong, Yu Yuanzhen frowned. Lanba Academy was founded less than 10 years ago, how can it be sure to get such a good ranking? Even if its own industry is not doing well, Erlongqian doesn't need to exaggerate. I'll call Azhu and Azi. They've changed a lot. Uncle, you'll feel confident if you look at their current cultivation. After that, Lu Erlong summoned a teacher from the college and asked him to inform Azhu and Azi. Yu Tianming and Yu Yuanzhen looked at each other. Both sides saw the chill in their eyes. Could it be that Azhu and Azi took the 9th grade purple Ji and told Lu Erlong? The most important thing about a maid is not her talent or her ability to take care of people, but her loyalty and ability to keep her mouth shut. If they reveal the news about the 9th grade Zizi to Lu Erlong, they will not be able to be entrusted with big responsibilities in the future, or even stay by their side. There were so many thoughts in his mind, but Yu Yuanzhen still looked at Yu Tianming and said with a kind smile, it just so happens that they are Tianming's maids. We haven't seen each other for 2 years. Now we can see how they have changed. Not for long. A teacher brought Azhu and Azi to the crowd. They are now 16 or 17 years old, with graceful figures. Their slender figure cannot be concealed by the Lanba Academy standard robes. The two look 60% similar, both are delicate and elegant, with radiant looks. Although she was born as a maid, she has an elegant temperament when looking at her. They walked up to Yu Yuanzhen and bowed. Ying, Azhu/Azi, I have met the sect leader. Yu Yuanzhen said kindly, we haven't seen you for 2 years. Azhu and Azi have grown into big girls. No need to be polite, just sit next to Tianming. After hearing this, the two of them said, thank you very much, master. Then he sat on the left and right sides of Yu Tianming. The two sat down, and Lu Erlong also looked at Yu Yuanzhen with a smile. Their cultivation has improved greatly in the past 2 years. Now Azhu has a soul power of level 38, and Azi has a soul power of level 36. With the two of them, the chances of promotion at Lanba Academy will naturally be greatly increased. Yu Yuanzhen took a sip of tea. Seeing that Lu Erlong did not mention the fairy grass medicine, he pretended to be shocked and said, the two of them have ordinary qualifications, but their cultivation has improved so fast in the past 2 years at Lanba Academy. It seems that Erlong, you taught them well. Among the two sisters, Azhu and Azi, Azhu, who is well versed in the world, seems to have noticed something. But she didn't speak, she just secretly pressed Yu Tianming's palm to indicate that he was relieved. After Yu Tianming felt confident, he also pretended to be shocked. And Erlong, you are able to teach Azhu and Azi, who have mediocre talents, to the level of geniuses. You are simply a master in the field of education. Lu Erlong has a tyrannical temper and can't hide things in his heart. When he saw the two of them, they didn't mention Azhu and Azi, but instead praised themselves so much that they even called themselves masters. After being attentive for a long time, she couldn't pretend anymore and looked at Yu Yuanzhen with a respectful and serious expression. The speed at which Azhu and Azi improve their cultivation is definitely not what the 4th level of innate soul power can achieve. I must have some method that allows them to break through the shackles of their talents. After Yu Yuanzhen heard what she said, he could roughly confirm that Lu Erlong didn't know about the existence of fairy grass. He looked at Yu Tianming, exuding a bit of super Douluo aura, and said rather sullenly, Azhu and Azi's cultivation levels have improved so fast. Did you allocate all the resources to them? Seeing this old man talking nonsense seriously and emitting such a powerful momentum, Yu Tianming was stunned for a moment, then understood everything, immediately left the chair and knelt down on one knee. A Zhu and AZI have been serving me all year round. They are hard-working and loyal to me. That's why I gave them some training resources and asked Grandpa to punish them. Hearing this, A Zhu also grabbed the confused AZI. The two of them knelt in front of Yu Yuanzhen and said, I know that I was wrong, so please punish me. Seeing that these people were so understanding, a smile of approval flashed in Yu Yuanzhen's eyes, but he still put away his momentum and looked at Yu Tianming with a serious look. Everyone, get up. As the young sect leader, Tianming, you have done a good job of not sparing resources for those who are loyal to the sect. If you encounter this kind of thing in the future, you only need to inform me. There is no need to use the resources given to you. Give and receive privately. Thank you, Master/Grandpa. Lu Erlong looked at everyone's behavior and believed most of it in his heart, but he thought of Yu Xiaogong's regret that he could not break through level 30 in his life. She still had a glimmer of hope and looked at Yu Yuanzhen sincerely. Uncle, I'm not asking for resources for myself, but I can't bear to see Xiaogang trapped in trouble all his life. I just want him to have a chance to break through the constraints of his talent and reach Soul Master. Chapter 71. Yu Yuanzhen fell into deep thought. He really loved Yu Xiaogang and poured a lot of resources into him. It was because of this that a waste with an innate soul power of level 0.5 could reach level 29. But Yu Yuanzhen is extremely stingy about fairy grass. Faced with this peerless treasure that can improve his cultivation, he is reluctant to take it. That is to say, he was willing to take out the fairy grass to invest in the future of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect for the talented Yu Tianheng and the others. As for the others, they have no chance to share the fairy grass, but at most they can get the treasure medicine, 9th grade purple's Hizi. Now there is exactly one 9th grade purple mushroom left. Yu Yuanzhen thought of his son, who had been ignored for many years, and he was caught in a dilemma. Seeing Yu Yuanzhen's expression, Yu Tianming hurriedly said to Lu Erlong, the second uncle is also a member of our Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Grandpa has poured resources into him. Because of this, the second uncle is even more qualified to level 0.5. His innate soul power can reach level 29. Doesn't this mean he has broken through the shackles of his talent? This is indeed the reason why Yu Xiaogang broke through level 29. Hearing this, Lu Erlong completely believed what they said, but as she deeply loved Yu Xiaogang, she still looked at Yu Yuanzhen sincerely. I will become a soul saint soon. From now on, I will fight through fire and water for the Blue Lightning Overlord sect and devote my whole life. If uncle has a way to improve Xiaogong's qualifications, I will pay it no matter what the cost. Yu Yuanzhen was very kind to his family, and seeing her like this, he felt a little soft-hearted. Most of the sect's senior officials knew that Yu Xiaogang was hiding in Notting City, but no one told Lu Erlong. Even though there has been no news for several years, Lu Erlong is still thinking about Yu Xiaogang. Maybe they are true love. Lu Erlong is extremely talented and loyal to his sect, so what's the harm in giving Xiaogang a precious medicine, 9th grade purple Ji? Thinking of this, Yu Yuanzhen looked at Lu Erlong with an even more kind expression. Seeing that Yu Yuanzhen's heart was already moved, Yu Tianming suddenly heard a siren in his heart. Although Lu Erlong is relatively simple and is considered a talent for the sect, she obeys Yu Xiaogang completely without any brains. She can even be said to be as loyal as the master's dog. And Yu Xiaogang had been ridiculed for so many years, and he had extreme thoughts, and he had conflicts with Yu Xiaogang. If you give him the 9th grade purple Ji, it will not only waste the sect's resources, but also make you unhappy. He hurriedly said to Yu Yuanzhen, Grandpa, the weather is just right at this time. How about we go to Yuexuan first? Walking on the way from Lanba Academy to Yuexuan, Yu Yuanzhen was a little hesitant. At that time, at Binghuolianjian, a total of 2 strains of 9th grade Long Ji and 3 strains of 9th grade Purple Mushroom were obtained. 2 strains of 9th grade Long Ji were given to Yu Tianheng and Yu Tiangxin. The 9th grade Zizi gave Yuluomian a plant, and gave Azhu and Azi a separate plant. The last 9 grade Purple Mushroom is not considered a fairy grass, but it is still very precious. After listening to Lu Erlong's words, he was willing to give it to Yu Xiaogang in private, but in public, if Yu Xiaogang was given this precious medicine, it would probably have no effect on the sect. After thinking for a long time, Yu Yuanzhen spoke first and asked Yu Tianming, the young sect leader. Tianming, the two dragons are so affectionate. What do you think about the last 9th grade purple Ji being given to Xiaogang as she wished? Second uncle has been promoting his top 10 competitive spirits in the early years, which has harmed many civilian spirit masters. It has not only ruined his own reputation, but also lost the face of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. If he is allowed to make a breakthrough in cultivation, he will definitely to stir up trouble in the Soul Master world again, will probably be detrimental to both the sect and the second uncle himself. Yu Yuanzhen let out a long sigh, as if he had aged a few years, and his eyes were filled with the disappointment and helplessness of a father. Xiaogang has neither talent nor ability, but he likes to be in the limelight in the Soul Master world. If I give him the 9th grade purple Ji, he will stir up more trouble. I can't protect Xiaogang throughout his life, so it's better to let him feel at ease. Being a rich man can lead to less trouble. Yu Tianming added, second uncle's martial spirit has too many flaws. The 9th grade purple's Hizzy may not be able to make up for the flaws of the martial spirit and improve his cultivation. I'm afraid he won't have much fighting power in the future. It's better to leave it to him after taking it, and he will definitely have a breakthrough. Used by Soul Masters. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen seemed to have made some decision. He looked at Yu Tianming and said seriously. Azhu and Azi are already quite young now. They can be said to be clever and loyal. Why don't you give them the 9th grade purple Ji to improve their bloodline and give birth to heirs who can inherit your talent as soon as possible? Speaking of this, Yu Tianming felt a little embarrassed. I'm still young now. This kind of thing will have to wait for another year or two. Now we'd better visit Yuexuan first. Walking all the way to the busiest area in the center of Tiandu city, the two stopped in front of a tall building. Yu Tianming subconsciously looked towards the building in front of him. This is a small building with a height of 5 floors. In Tiandu city, this building can be regarded as not short. The first impression of this building is that it is elegant. The overall architectural style is slightly simple. There are only 2 simple words on the plaque, Yuexuan. Yu Tianming knew that Yuexuan was the court etiquette academy of the Tiandu Empire, and those who could enter the academy must at least have a noble title and be no more than 30 years old. Yuexuan only recruits 100 students every year. For these 100 places, the nobles throughout the Tiandu Empire were almost overwhelmed. Everyone knows that successfully graduating from Yuexuan is equivalent to being plated with gold. The graduates here are known as true nobles. Not to mention anything else, when nobles marry, the stronger party will often ask the weaker party whether their children have been educated by Yuexuan. This shows Yuexuan's influence in the upper echelons of the entire Tiandu Empire. Undoubtedly, this is where the new generation of nobles of the Tiandu Empire is trained. Therefore, although Yuexuan itself is nothing, no force dares to reach out to it. There are even rumors that Emperor Sui has a special and close relationship with Yuexuan's master, Mrs. Yu. But this is just a rumor. Of course, only a few people know that Mrs. Yu, the master of Yuexuan who has no power to bind a chicken, is actually the sister of the leader of the Haoshan sect, the #1 soul master sect in the world. There are not many pedestrians coming and going, but it can be seen that the people who come in and out are all luxuriously dressed or have excellent temperament. Both men and women are present. Walking into the first floor of Yuexuan, a light fragrance hits your face. The screen wall is carved from fine boxwood and exudes a faint woody fragrance. In front of the screen wall, 2 3-meter-high exotic orchids exude a faint fragrance. Although it is only one step into Yuexuan, it seems to be able to isolate the troubles of the outside world. Going around the screen wall, there is a spacious hall. The floor is paved with 1-meter-long grey square tiles, and is surrounded by furnishings made of various expensive woods. Chapter 72. Behind a wide table in the front of the hall, several elegantly dressed and delicate-looking girls were standing there. On both sides of the table, there is an elegant wooden staircase. Seeing Yu Yuanzhen and the others, the girls were obviously a little surprised. Yuexuan usually receives nobles from the empire, but the robes worn by Yu Tianming and others are those of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. How come people from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect come to Yuexuan to learn noble etiquette? Yu Yuanzhen ignored the two's surprise and led Yu Tianming slowly to the rest area. He summoned a tall girl and said, "Tell Tang Yuehua that the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is visiting." The girl was stunned for a moment and frowned slightly, but Yu Yuanzhen leaned on the chair and said calmly, "Just report it." The girl looked at Yu Yuanzhen, and then at Yu Tianming next to Yu Yuanzhen. Perhaps affected by the aura of the two people who had been in high positions for a long time, she said no more. The girl's eyes moved slightly, nodded, and said, "Please wait a moment." After saying that, she quickly went upstairs along the side stairs. Not long after, slightly noisy footsteps came from upstairs. Hearing the sound, Yu Yuanzhen couldn't help but frown slightly. A total of 3 people walked down the stairs. The leader was a middle-aged man wearing a purple gown, and the following 2 were slender and wearing blue clothes. The 3 of them looked about the same age. The middle-aged man in purple followed the guidance of the tall girl and walked downstairs in small steps. Walking up to the 2 of them, the tall girl bowed slightly to the middle-aged man in purple. "Manager Aud, it is these 2 adults who want to see Madam." The man in purple nodded slightly and looked at the 2 of them. Although his expression was respectful, his eyes still showed the pride of being the #1 sect in the world. "My Excellency, Ode Biao, Madam does have distinguished guests to receive today. If you have any questions from the 2 guests of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, please come to me." Although Yu Tianming has left the Killing City for nearly a month, he still has not been able to completely control his murderous intention. Seeing his appearance made her even more angry. An invisible murderous aura was instantly swallowed up, and the middle-aged man in purple fell back as if he had been electrocuted. When he looked at Yu Tianming again, he looked at him in horror as if he were looking at a monster. "Why don't you tell me what kind of distinguished guest you are entertaining? If it is indeed distinguished, we can wait a while. If it is not distinguished enough, then take me to see her. How can I allow you to make arrangements?" Adebiao's face darkened. "Yuexuan has Yuexuan's rules, how can we reveal customer information at will? Even the Blue Lightning Overlord sect cannot be so arrogant here." Then, he said to the 2 men in blue behind him, "Yuexuan only accepts elegant guests, please go out." The 2 middle-aged men in blue nodded, releasing their soul power, an invisible pressure rushed towards them. They came to the 2 of them and said seriously, "2 adults, please come." Yu Tianming stood up naturally, looked at the middle-aged man in purple and said disdainfully, "What if I don't leave?" The man in blue looked at the man in purple above, who was called the manager. The man in purple waved his hand, "Do you still need me to teach you?" The 2 men in blue immediately moved, raising their hands to grab Yu Tianming's grandson. Yu Yuanzhen had long seen what the man in purple was relying on, and looked at his grandson, "Don't kill people, don't destroy this place." Hearing this, Yu Tianming moved. He just took a step forward, and the 2 men in blue felt a strong suction coming from him at the same time. The 2 of them almost involuntarily reached out and grabbed Yu Tianming with their stretched out hands. Yu Tianming also raised his hand and touched the hands of the 2 men in blue. His current strength has made a qualitative leap. From the fluctuations in the opponent's soul power, he can directly judge that the 2 men in blue should be soul sects who have just reached level 40. With his current strength, how could he give the opponent a chance when facing such an opponent? Except for Yu Yuanzhen, no one saw clearly what Yu Tianming did. Only a slight squeeze of Yu Tianming's fingers was seen, and the 2 men in blue retreated at the same time. Their outstretched arms drooped limply. "We are here to meet the owner, not the watchdog." If it weren't for Yu Yuanzhen, Yu Tianming, who had lived in the killing fields of hell for a long time, wouldn't even have spared his hand. The 2 men in blue would have been dead long ago. Perhaps because of the action, strong murderous aura spurted out from Yu Tianming's body. Cold, bloodthirsty, evil, and numerous negative emotions swept through Yuexuan's lair almost instantly. The waitresses behind the desk looked at each other and turned pale, their bodies trembling and retreating. Seeing the murderous aura emanating from his grandson, Yu Yuanzhen frowned. He knew that the influence of the Killing City on Yu Tianming's character was far from being eliminated. The middle-aged man in purple clothes was stunned for a moment, then he flashed his body and put his hands on the shoulders of the 2 subordinates respectively. His expression suddenly changed. Staring at Yu Tianming, he said in a deep voice, "What a vicious method." The hanging arm bones of the 2 men in blue were crushed to pieces, and it was obviously difficult to recover. Yu Tianming smiled coldly, "The forces you rely on have already retreated deep into the mountains. They are like a dog without clamping their tail. This is the price of jumping up and down." The man in purple knew that he had made a mistake earlier. He did not expect that this young man could be so strong. Although the 2 subordinates did not release their martial souls, with their soul power, Yu Tianming had an arm disabled in one encounter. This shows that this young man's so powerful. But the man in purple was still dissatisfied. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect is a bit too bullying. A faint halo fluctuated, and the huge soul power was suddenly released. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black. The neat rhythm of the 6 soul rings clearly revealed that he had reached the strength of the Soul Emperor. It seems that he is only in his 40s or 50s, and he is already quite powerful with 6 rings of strength. With a cold smile, Yu Tianming took another step forward and released his martial spirit at the same time. Under everyone's horrified gaze, 5 soul rings quietly appeared, and the aura of Yu Tianming's whole body was released without reservation. The powerful murderous aura seemed to make the entire Yuexuan tremble. This is impossible. The man in purple's expression changed drastically. He knew that the soul masters of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect were all tall, but how could Yu Tianming have the strength of a Soul King with his youthful face? If he knew that the Soul King was already considered a strong player in the Douluo continent and was a mainstay even in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, how could the young man he met randomly have the strength of the Soul King? What surprised him even more was that a special pressure was released from Yu Tianming's body. The man in purple felt that his whole soul power seemed to be completely suppressed by this special aura, and even the 6 soul rings on his body were suppressed. The light is starting to dim. Oda Biao is just like Gongchen Gui. His surname is Ode and his given name is Biao. He is Yuexuan's supervisor in the original work. Chapter 73. Although Oda Biao's own soul power can still be increased, it can only be increased to about 70% at most, and his strength is greatly reduced. Seeing this, the man in purple almost couldn't wait to raise his right hand, and a bright purple vine wandered out from his palm, instantly forming a purple barrier around himself. The man in purple's martial spirit is the plant-type Ghost King Vine, an evolved version of Tang San's second soul ring, the Ghost Vine. But when he saw the purple vines, Yu Tianming was stunned for a moment. A smile couldn't help but appear on the corner of his mouth, and he thought to himself, it turns out to be the Oud controller Tang San faced many years later. No wonder he is so tough. Now Oda Biao has stepped into the Soul Emperor, and it seems that he was about to reach the Soul Saint cultivation level when he met Tang San. But how can a mere vine defeat a giant dragon? At this moment, a somewhat cold voice suddenly sounded, "Stop." The middle-aged man in purple clothes and Yu Tianming looked towards the stairs at the same time, and saw a graceful and beautiful woman slowly walking down the stairs, followed by an elegant young man behind her. Seeing this beautiful woman, Yu Tianming couldn't help but be a little surprised, because he couldn't tell her actual age. At first glance, she seemed to be 27 or 8 years old, but her eyes seemed to see everything in the world, which was definitely not comparable to that of a 27 or 8-year-old woman. The silver palace dress looked so fit on her body. Although there was no soul fluctuation on her body, every move she made was so elegant and natural, showing nobility. The beautiful woman walked downstairs slowly, and every movement she made, even if she frowned slightly, did not show any signs of losing her composure. "Director Odd, what's going on?" the beautiful woman asked softly. The middle-aged man in purple hurriedly took a few steps forward, carefully watching Yu Tianming's side, and said to the beautiful woman, "Madam, I'm afraid of disturbing you and the prince, so I asked them to come back another day, but these 2 Blue Lightning Overlord sect but they insist on seeing you." The beautiful woman's eyes passed over Yu Tianming, and when she felt the cold killing intent, there was a hint of surprise in her eyes. At this moment, a strange scene appeared. Yu Tianming clearly felt that a soft wave was released from the beautiful woman in palace clothes. The wave released from her body was elegant and natural, and the softness seemed to be able to caress her body. All the sadness in the world. As soon as his murderous aura came into contact with her special aura, it disappeared as quickly as ice and snow melting. The entire first floor of Yuexuan has become clean and natural again. Domain, yes, but it was her aristocratic domain. Although she did not release any soul power fluctuations, Yu Tianming, who possessed the god of killing domain, immediately sensed where the fluctuations released by the beautiful woman came from. Before Yu Tianming had time to be surprised, the beautiful woman in palace attire looked at Yu Yuanzhen and said slowly, "I haven't seen you for many years, why don't you follow me upstairs to talk about it?" I heard the words Thunder Crown. Oda Biao, who seemed to have found a supporter, knelt on the ground with a pop, trembling like chaff. It was like a prisoner kneeling on the execution platform, just waiting for the guillotine to fall. Yu Yuanzhen was leaning on the back of his chair and watching the show leisurely. When he heard Tang Yuehua's words, he ignored Oda Biao and walked up directly, "Then I'd rather be respectful than obey your orders." Yu Tianming also followed Yu Yuanzhen up the stairs. When he reached the stairs, Tang Yuehua turned around and left a message to Manager Ade, "What you just saw never happened." You are responsible for this matter, do you understand? When Adebiao heard this, he breathed a long sigh of relief. He knew that his life was no longer in danger, so he hurriedly said, "Yes, madam." There were 4 people in the group, with Tang Yuehua walking at the front and leading the way. The silver-white palace dress outlines a beautiful curve of her figure, and her figure is graceful, showing the charm of a mature woman. Tang Yuehua was familiar with aristocratic etiquette. Even when he walked, his steps were full of rhythm. The sound of the solace of his shoes hitting the wooden stairs was as clear and crisp as water droplets falling on blue stone. The waist swayed, and the pendant at the end of the long skirt also swayed, reminding Yu Tianming of the common hair accessory in the past life, Buletin Yao. Yu Yuanzhen followed Tang Yuehua, his tall and burly body occupying nearly half of the aisle. Yu Tianming, on the other hand, walked behind the crowd with the elegant young man just now. Walking on the steps, the elegant young man in green clothes looked at Yu Tianming and suddenly said, "My dear brother Tianming, long time no see." This sentence immediately made Yu Tianming look away from Tang Yuehua, and he looked at the elegant young man. I saw that this young man was about 13 or 14 years old. Although he was not as tall as Yu Tianming, a soul master from the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, he was still 1.7 meters tall. Although his figure is somewhat thin, he has plump cheeks, handsome eyebrows, and dark eyes. The smile at the corner of his mouth is quite charming, and coupled with his noble aura, anyone who sees him will call him a handsome young man. Yu Tianming asked tentatively, "Are you brother Xuet?" A trace of loneliness flashed in the eyes of this elegant young man, and he pretended to be sullen and whispered, "Why don't you recognize me, brother Tianming, after we haven't seen you for 3 years? How come I don't recognize brother Xuet? It's just that my life has changed so much in the past 3 years, and there is a sense of nobility about me, so I don't dare to recognize him." As he said, Yu Tianming and Shueqinghe/Jianrongxu are not much different in age, and they have been growing rapidly in the past few years. Shueqinghe has been studying at Yuexuan in the past 2 years. Whether it was appearance, temperament, or voice, Shueqinghe had changed a lot, so Yu Tianming didn't recognize him for a while. Upon hearing this, Jianrongxu's eyes turned from anger to joy, but she still sighed, looking a little disappointed, but her mouth was still reluctant. "You have changed a lot in the past 3 years. You didn't recognize me, but my brother recognized you at a glance. It seems that I mistakenly showed my true feelings." Seeing this, Yu Tianming clasped his hands and laughed, "Then I will first apologize to brother Xuet, and then I will slowly apologize to brother Xuet." Jianrongxu snorted lightly, with a smile on her lips and said no more. The top floor of Yuexuan is a huge hall, which is more elegantly decorated than the first floor. It is obviously used to entertain distinguished guests. Yu Tianming, who is familiar with the flora and fauna of Douluo continent, was surprised to find that all the furnishings here were actually made of a rare plant soul beast. It makes the whole floor exude a light fragrance. This kind of plant is more expensive than the same weight of gold. If it only builds furniture for a small room, Yu Tianming, who comes from the Landian Overlord sect and has a rich family, will not be surprised by this. But the space in this hall is quite large. If you want to fill the entire hall with furniture, you will need astronomical prices. This is enough to show how much the Tiandu royal family invested in Yuexuan. Chapter 74. Tang Yuehua looked at everyone and explained to them with a smile, "The top floor is my private space. I only entertain distinguished guests. No one can come up without my permission. All distinguished guests, please take a seat." After hearing this, everyone sat down in order. Yu Yuanzhen looked at Tang Yuehua, then at Shueqinghe beside him, and slowly said, "This time I came here for Tianming. As we all know, he is innately full of soul power and has the most talented people in the world. But because of the mutated martial soul, because his martial spirit is defective." "Oh? What are the flaws?" Tang Yuehua himself was also a mutated martial soul, and he immediately became interested when he heard about the flaws of other people's mutations. Jianrongxu also set her sights on Yu Tianming. Yu Yuanzhen explained, although Tianming's cultivation speed is extremely fast, as the level increases, the martial spirit inevitably affects his character and makes him a little bloodthirsty. "I came here this time to use your nobles. The circle field helps him eliminate his murderous intention." Jianrongxu frowned slightly. As the heir to the spirit hall, her father Qian Sunji was hammered to death by Tang Hao. She naturally knew the relevant information about the killing god domain. Although Yu Yuanzhen said in a roundabout way that it was a defect in his martial soul, she could roughly guess from Yu Tianming's murderous intention just now that he had obtained the God of Death domain. You must know that Tang Hao only obtained the Killing God domain at the age of 28, and how old was Yu Tianming? I couldn't help but marvel at Yu Tianming's talent. She looked at Yu Tianming who was sitting next to her, and saw that he was about the same height as Yu Yuanzhen. Sitting on Yu Exuan's chair, he looked like a tiger nesting on a creek rock. His bulging muscles were as intimidating as a blue electric Tyrannosaurus rex. There is also this resolute and handsome face that is as strong as a knife and an axe, and the cultivation level of the Soul King. Qian Rongxiu couldn't help but secretly thought, but with his talent, in this world for the first 500 years and the next 500 years, I am afraid that only his own talent can compete with him. At this time, after Tang Yuehua heard Yu Yuanzhen's lame excuse, he looked at Yu Tianming with burning eyes and smiled meaningfully. I think this kid has a kind face, but he is quite similar to my second brother Haoshan Douluo. Even if Lei Mian doesn't tell me, I am very willing to help Tianming eliminate his murderous intention. Tang Yuehua has a close relationship with the Tiandu royal family. Xue Qinghe has long known her identity as Tang Xiao's sister, and she does not need to avoid it. The Tiandu Empire did not use cruel methods to compete for the best king like the Star Luo Empire. But the Tiandu royal family, which has been inherited for thousands of years, obviously knows how to win people's hearts, and has a very close relationship with the three Shang sects. Since Tang Hao killed Qian Sunji, he no longer cares about continuing to support the Xingluo royal family. Instead, the entire sect has huddled in the mountains 300 miles east of Tiandu city, among several extremely steep peaks. In the middle of the mountain stream shrouded in clouds and mist. At this time, Yuexuan has become the largest connection point between Haoshan sect and the outside world, and it is also the bridge between the Tiandu royal family and Haoshan sect. The Tiandu royal family is also very sincere. Over the years, Yuexuan has even had a monopoly on etiquette education for high-ranking nobles, and many of the nobles she has taught will become the top figures in the Tiandu Empire in the future. Yuexuan's status was equivalent to the Whampoa Military Academy in the Tiandu Empire, and Tang Yuehua was the principal. Hearing her mention Tang Hao, Yu Tianming knew that Tang Yuehua had seen the realm of the God of Death in him. Thank you for your help, madam. Tang Yuehua chuckled. However, if you want my help, I have another request, not too big or too small. Ma'am, please speak. My request is that in the next year, while I help you eliminate the murderous intention, you must also learn various noble etiquette and music with me together with King He. Yu Tianming stared blankly at Tang Yuehua in front of him. He never imagined that Tang Yuehua would not take the opportunity to put forward conditions that were beneficial to Haoshan sect, but instead asked him to learn these meaningless things from her. Tang Yuehua looked at Yu Tianming's dumbfounded look with some amusement. I know what you are thinking, but I let you learn these things for your own good. Maybe it can also speed up the process of calming down the murderous aura. Yu Tianming declined. The Blue Lightning Overlord sect also taught me some etiquette and musical instruments. I'm afraid it would be redundant to learn these things in Yuexuan. Seeing Yu Tianming's confusion, Tang Yuehua added, you only need to come here to study for an hour or two every day, and it will not affect your practice. And if King He studies with me, you two can also strengthen your relationship. Naturally, she didn't really want to teach Yu Tianming the noble etiquette and musical instruments, and how to behave in the world, just like she taught Tang San. Tang Yuehua just because Yu Tianming's talent is rare in the world, she can't help but think of her grandfather, Tang Chen, who pushed the Haoshan sect to the top in the world and was known as the two sacred mountains of Douluo continent along with Jiandaoliu. Although she was the youngest among the siblings and had never met Tang Chen, she thought that her grandfather's talent when he was young was not stronger than Yu Tianming's. Now that the Haoshan sect is half dead and living in seclusion in the mountains, establishing a master-disciple relationship with Yu Tianming, who has not yet grown up, is not only an investment in a future strong man, but also a way to protect the inheritance of the Haoshan sect in the future. At the same time, she knew that Xue Qinghe also wanted to get closer to the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, which would be considered a favor to the Tiandu royal family. If one day, Xue Qinghe can really win over all the three upper sects, then the Haoshan sect can even come out again without fear of the power of Wuhan Palace. Thinking of this, Tang Yuehua's meaningful gaze also turned to Yu Yuanzhen. This was an opportunity for Yu Tianming to build a good relationship with the Tiandu Empire and the Haoshan sect. Naturally, Yu Yuanzhen would not let it go and persuaded him, Tianming, what you learned in the Blue Lightning Overlord sect is too superficial. Come to Yuexuan. It's also a good thing to learn the etiquette and musical instruments of the nobility. After thinking about it, he added, of course, you don't have to learn these things. You can communicate more with King He and Yue Hua. There are many things about them that are worth learning. Yu Tianming finally nodded with some difficulty. Although he only wanted to calm down the influence of murderous intent as soon as possible, he quickly rose to level 60. But it's hard to go against the consensus. They say it does make some sense, and they won't slow down their cultivation because of it. He could only agree to Yu Yuanzhen's proposal and temporarily compromise with the elegant lady in front of him. I'm studying here. Grandpa can find a tea room not far away to rest in case Brother King He and I are attacked by assassins. Yu Tianming knew that Jian Rongxiu in front of him was guarded by the two titles of Snake Spear and Acorn Fish. Although the external soul bone he obtained from the Ice and Fire Eyes has powerful escape soul skills, this made him no longer want to hide his cultivation after becoming the Soul King. But he couldn't guarantee that he would be safe from the sneak attacks of the two major titles. The original mountain gate of Haoshan sect was not next to Tiandu city. The following is what Tang Xiao said personally in chapter 558 of the original book. The place where Qian Daoliu and Tang Chen had their last battle was where the Haoshan sect lived in seclusion. Qian Daoliu promised Tang Chen that from now on, no one under him would ever set foot on this mountain, unless one day he could defeat Tang Chen. Chapter 75. Hearing this, Yu Yuanzhen nodded. Ever since Yu Tianming awakened, he has been protecting him. This time he personally accompanied him to Tiandu city to protect his safety. Yu Tianming took the initiative to ask for his protection, and Yu Yuanzhen was very happy. Yuehua, do you have a tea room here for me to take a rest? Tang Yuehua stood up and said with a smile, of course, I will take His Majesty lay me in there now. That will trouble you. It's Yuehua's blessing that His Majesty Lei Mian can come to Yuexuan. How can it cause trouble? After that, she led Yu Yuanzhen towards the tea room on the 4th floor of Yuexuan. After the two left, only Yu Tianming and Shui Qinghe were left on the top floor of Yuexuan. The empty hall immediately fell into silence. Qian Rongxiu looked at Yu Tianming and said first, Brother Tianming, don't you like the etiquette and musical instruments of the nobles? These things are too cumbersome and useless. I really don't like them, but I do like others to play music for me and observe etiquette in front of me. Qian Rongxiu narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, how do you say this? Nobles learning etiquette and musical instruments are just to distinguish themselves from the poor, and I don't need these to show my nobility. However, some music is quite beautiful, and I like to listen to it. Hearing this, Qian Rongxiu stood up and said, since Brother Tianming likes to enjoy music, I will play a piece for you on my special instrument. Prince Tiandu played for me personally. I'm afraid this is against the rules. I have two brothers. One likes to play music and the other likes to listen to it. Why do you need to see me outside? Well, thank you very much, Brother Shuet. Qian Rongxiu picked up a delicate and elegant golden harp from the storage soul guide and placed it on a special table. Then he raised his slender fingers and slowly plucked the strings. Pure music as crystal clear as pearls and as clear as morning dew flows from her hands, and the beautiful music is refreshing and refreshing. As the young master of the Blue Lightning Overlord sect, Yu Tianming has attended many high-end occasions and listened to many piano sounds. But Qian Rongxiu's piano music made Yu Tianming feel refreshing and amazing. It can be seen that she is very accomplished at the harp. Listening to the performance of the Crown Prince of the Tiandu Empire, heir to the Wuhan Palace, Yu Tianming's tense body and mind also felt a little relieved. He found a couch by the window and lay down on his own. The warm afternoon sunshine was shining on him, and Qian Rongxiu was playing for him in person. It was extremely comfortable. Yu Tianming slowly closed his eyes. Not long after, Tang Yuehua also returned to the hall on the top floor. She saw Yu Tianming lying comfortably on the sofa, looking quite comfortable, but she didn't scold him. Instead, she smiled slightly, and a soft wave was released from this beautiful woman in palace attire. The fluctuations she releases are elegant and natural, like a gentle breeze, which seems to be able to heal all the sorrows in the world. Yushin sensed her arrival early tomorrow. It's just that he came here to eliminate the murderous intention, and he didn't really want to follow Tang Yuehua's teachings and learn etiquette and musical instruments from her. So he pretended not to know and enjoyed the dual comfort of Qian Rongxiu's musical instrument and Tang Yuehua's domain. The murderous intent accumulated in him in the killing city gradually calmed down, and all the traces of murderous intent that had been scattered outside were retracted within his body. My body and mind gradually relaxed completely, and before I knew it, I fell into sleep. Seeing this, Tang Yuehua shook her head slightly. She did not wake up Yu Tianming. Instead, she quietly taught Jianrongxue music theory while expanding her field. She didn't really want to teach Yu Tianming to learn these etiquette and musical instruments. But I want to create more opportunities to get along with each other and build a good relationship with the Blue Lightning Overlord sect. Now that Yu Tianming was sleeping directly here, she couldn't say much, so she could only get along slowly in the future. An hour later, Jianrongxue ended today's class. She looked at Yu Tianming and whispered to Tang Yuehua, "Teacher, I'm leaving first." Tianming. This child is really tired by dawn. Let him rest in my field for a while. After hearing this, Jianrongxue said goodbye to Tang Yuehua and returned to the palace with a few guards. In the Tiandu Imperial Palace, in a secret room, Jianrongxue removed her disguise and revealed her original female appearance. At this time, she looked like a teenage girl, with blonde hair hanging behind her back and skin as good as snow. The straight bridge of her nose, slightly slender eyes, and calm eyes brought a bit of majesty to her stunning appearance. Beside her stood two old men in their 70s or 80s. An old man, as thin as a javelin and full of sharpness, looked at Jianrongxue. "Young master, this Yu Tianming is only 13 years old, but he has the cultivation of a soul king just like you. With such a high talent, he may become a big problem in the future. Do you want me to find an opportunity to get rid of him?" Jianrongxue frowned slightly. "Uncle Shi, Yu Tianming is protected by Yu Yuanzhen. He is already a level 97 Super Douluo. He may not be an opponent even if he has 7 or 8 titles. It is still too much to assassinate Yu Tianming. Danger. We can notify Wuhan Palace and send out a few Super Douluo. No matter how powerful Yu Yuanzhen long transformation is, how can we defeat him?" Jianrongxue was a little impatient, frowned, and said helplessly, "With such a big fanfare, are you trying to let the world know that the Wuhan Palace is going to war with the Blue Lightning Overlord sect? Now is not the time." But Yu Tianming's innate soul power was only at the 10th level, and now he can reach the Soul King's cultivation level like the young master. If it is not eliminated, I am afraid that there will be another Tang Chen in many years. I am only busy with political affairs, so he has the opportunity to compete with me. Even if he becomes an ultimate Douluo, he will still be an ant if he cannot become a god. But, hearing that the two of them wanted to talk more, Jianrongxue felt angry and looked at the two titled Douluo with a bit of anger. "Don't let it be. Yu Tianming is not necessarily an enemy, and he might even be used by me in the future. As for his cultivation, you will rot it to your stomach, and don't tell anyone. Do you understand?" The two old men looked at each other, but still clasped their fists and said, "I understand." As the capital of the Tiandu Empire, Tiandu City has highly developed commerce and is brightly lit every night. This kind of scenery in the city that never sleeps can only be compared to it at night in Xingluo City in Douluo Continent. Elegant and tranquil light shines from the several-story building of Yuexuan. Yu Tianming, who had just woken up, also walked out of Yuexuan with Yu Yuanzhen. Yu Yuanzhen looked at Yu Tianming, who was stretching, and smiled jokingly, "Did you still sleep comfortably this afternoon? Is it still comfortable to listen to Prince Tiandu's music?"